Hello, and welcome to episode 176 of Black Widow. Nope, I'm going to start this over. I'm looking at the wrong part of my notes. It's going to be a good episode.
Leave it in.
Yeah. All right. Trying this again. Hello, and welcome to episode 176 of Flix and a Six, the best show you're hearing right now. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the salted nut roll, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
Why do you always do that thing?
Yes. We haven't gotten there yet, but the best part of the movie, for sure. On this week's episode, Al, what do you want to talk about?
Definitely we're going to talk about a salted nut roll, which
Sure.
I am apparently. But Lord of the Rings Amazon show exists.
Oh, that's right. I saw a little headline about that.
Yep. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about what we're watching for sure.
Okay.
There's been some things that I've been watching.
As have I, although now that I think about it, I'm kind of racking my brain to specifically what I've been watching. It's been a few weeks since we recorded, so there's a lot of things, and yet all of them are currently scurrying away from my memory. I'm sure I'll find them. And
you bet your ass it's going to be a good episode, because when we take a break, boy, do we come back on fire.
Yeah, although we have been very rusty in the first minute or so of the show and the first minute before the show.
More on that in a little bit.
I'd also like to talk about Bob Odenkirk.
Oh yeah, good one. I've actually forgotten about that since the weeks have passed.
So that literally happened like the day before we were supposed to record last week, and then just had to abort at the last moment. So
I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I have a new career in VO.
Also, right before we started.
But anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. I've also got a nugget on finding Newberg out in the wild.
Oh,
so that'll be fun. So we've got plenty of stuff to discuss. But first, Al, I'd like to tell you a story. So today I woke up and I went about my business as usual. I usually set my alarm for 6. I get up much later than that. And then I work out. Then I shower. Then I make a shake. It's been my weekly morning, like my days of the business days of the week morning routine. I take my shake. I go down to work.
I thought you were going on long walks long walks and listen to Tom Clancy.
Oh, that happens sometimes too.
Okay.
I also, if I get up when I'm supposed to get up after the workout, there's usually a 1 to 2 mile walk.
Okay.
But today it was not that day. And today, when I was making my shake, something happened.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where I was like, oh no, is this what today's going to be like? And I think I'm about to utter a phrase.
Oh no.
Never said before.
On the show or just in general?
In general.
Okay, I'm excited.
I cut my hand on a banana.
Not had a scratch or a nick, but you cut yourself.
Cut my hand. So we freeze the bananas.
Okay.
Right? And the bananas, we cut them up into chunks and we freeze them. And I take a couple chunks out to throw in my shake.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, this is going fine.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, the bananas must have had something on top of them or something when we first put them in the freezer, so they got a little bit mushed. So that it's more of a giant banana chunk right now than it is pieces that can be separated.
Okay.
So I've been kind of hitting it against the counter to loosen something and then pulling a piece off. And I went to go pull a piece off and it was giving me a hard time. And then my hand scraped across the other bananas. And I went, ow! And went about my business. Making the shake, grabbing a bag, put the other bag back in the fridge, grab something else. There's blood on that. Where's that coming from? Look at the front of my hands. Nothing. Look at the back of my hands. Chunk of the back of my middle finger. Gone. And just a pretty consistent bleed for having scraped against a banana.
Ice is sharp. And this frozen banana is essentially ice.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've cut my hands on ice so many times.
Mm-hmm. But never banana.
Not icy banana, no.
Yeah. That's my story for today.
This is my tale?
That's my tale. So, Al, why don't you tell the listeners what we're drinking? Because I'm pretty excited about it.
So we're already doing the Rust thing because we agreed that we were going to talk about something else before we did the beer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're all over the place. So, for our loyal listeners, as you know, when we go away for a couple of weeks and come back, our shows are very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Our next show is going to be nuts.
And not Salt and Nut Roll either, because we're doing that today.
Because we are going to be going on a temporary hiatus, because I have a little one imminent.
Imminently approaching.
Yeah, so
there's a 99% chance this is our final episode before the hiatus.
For a moment. Did you just hear a bing? Did you just hear a ding? Okay, so here's I'm frustrated. Every device has the little moon that says "Do Not Disturb" on it right now. Every device. I have headphones in.
Yep.
Right. I have the sound coming through the headphones,
but
the speakers on the desk emitted a notification sound.
Despite their,
I'm furious. Anyway,
heretofore mentioned "Do Not Disturb."
I think I just have to get used to chaos. But
well, you're about to have a child, so yes,
exactly. So we're gonna be going on a temporary hiatus while I ease into my new life, and then we will return. Rest assured, Flix and a 6 will be back after in the sequel.
I was gonna say very, very much in keeping with this show. Me and Anthony have not discussed this until about 5 minutes before we turn the microphone on to record. Yeah. This more than likely 99.9% chance is our final episode prior to the hiatus. Yes. But also there might be an episode next week.
There might be, yeah. Who can say? Not
also,
me.
We're going to go on a hiatus for, I don't know, 4 to 12 weeks. But also there might be episodes during the hiatus. Because,
who knows?
Again,
who could say?
Negotiated prior to us turning on the microphones. But more likely than not, we're going to be off for 4, 5, 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it's, but when we come back,
probably Suicide Squad?
Probably Suicide Squad. Maybe a new format. I like to play around with the format when we take breaks. You know that.
That's true. That's a good point.
So maybe keep it fresh. It's been a while since we've changed up the main structure of the show, I feel like.
It's probably a good idea to consider coming up with 3 to 4 templates.
Yeah, so we could change it up.
And we don't have to be okay, this is an A week, this is a B week, this is a C week, this is a B week. But maybe informed by the type of movie we're doing.
Yeah.
And or the news and nuggets that we have.
Is it a chocolate covered nut roll?
Exactly. And or whether we have a guest that week.
That's right. The guest template, that could be a different thing too. I like that.
Yes. So we could have, anywhere between 2 to 5 templates that we could deploy at any given week so that
I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I like about this show?
This is the type of thing
have come on the journey with us on how to make a podcast.
Yeah, well, so this is the type of thing that a producer would do for us, but we don't have one, so.
That's right. Yeah.
It's okay.
I love how far we've come from let's do 3 movies an episode. And
it'll be an hour or so. To last week was so 1 movie and it was a 3-hour episode and
that's right.
Only about a third of it was movie talk. The movie that we watched.
Yeah. I kind of love it though.
Some of that was because I went deep into the 20 questions to find the movie deep.
I think we need to rebrand. It's Flix and the 6 and news and nuggets and other things.
That's the title. Just keeps. Each time we incorporate a new thing, it just keep getting tacked on to the end of the title.
And sometimes guests. And games and fun.
By the time this show ends, I don't know, 50 years from now, it's just going to be a paragraph long title.
That's right. The synopsis will be shorter than the title of the episode. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most platforms won't support our content.
I was going to say, I don't even think it'll be close. Our synopsis, I don't see it changing, so.
Sure. Yeah. Also, and other news, other housekeeping, I guess, if you will. We're now on Pandora, so that means, nothing to you. If you're hearing this, right? Because you're clearly listening to it on whatever you listen to this on.
I always forget Pandora is a thing because it was such a great idea and they just did not keep up that same.
They didn't. And then everything else introduced a radio system with a dislike, and they just kind of
everything was oh, Pandora, those are some good ideas, but we have a lot of other better ones to pair with that. So
yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
because I do feel they did the radio thing first, so they were the dislike radio thing first. So I feel like it had been for a long time the best one. It did a good job of surfacing more music related to what I'm interested in versus I don't know, Spotify, which when I do it I like, dislike, but realistically, it's pulling from like a pool of 60 songs because it's like a playlist. I don't know. I'm not a fan of how they operate things, but the service itself is.
You know what killed Pandora is never giving you the option to actually build your own playlist.
Yeah,
because I loved
tough.
that radio thing, but sometimes
Sure.
you're like, sometimes you're not like, oh, I want to listen to Linkin Park radio. Sometimes you're like, I want to listen to this specific Linkin Park song, and then see where it goes.
From there. and then do what you will. Yeah, like that. That's a good feature of Spotify. I feel like I you know what I like about it is like that when that happens, it's a natural thing with Spotify. It's like play this song for me, and then something comes on afterwards. Like I don't have to think about it.
Yes,
I love that. That's a great feature.
So anyway, your child.
We don't talk about music. We're talking about my kid. We're talking about the fact that we're taking a hiatus.
We definitely don't talk about music enough on this podcast.
No.
We talk about books. We talk about movies. We talk about television shows. We talk about video games. We talk about beer. We talk about all sorts of other wild things. We don't talk about a ton of music.
We talk a lot about Diane.
We talk a lot about Diane Kruger.
Yeah. That you know what? We should change the name of the show to the Diane Kruger Effect. I think that's what this is now.
Flix and a 6 presented by Diane Kruger.
Yeah, that's right. What the hell is this?
Wait, Diane Kruger presents?
Diane Kruger, yeah.
That's also harkening back to a conversation
right before the recording. I think that should be our North Star, is to get her on the show.
If we reached the peak of this show by getting her on the show somehow, even if it was to yell at us to cease and desist.
Sure.
What the fuck is that sound?
Oh, that was a motorcycle.
Okay, but was it in your living room? Because
sure felt like it.
I thought you were playing. You like reached your hand forward, and I thought you were playing a sound effect.
I played the sound of a motorcycle. No, I was bracing myself for impact because it was coming through my window.
Bracing for impact. So anyway, this is off to a great start as far as
this has been episode 176.
We needed to kick off the rust. There was definitely some rust getting started.
Sure.
I forgot to sign into the recording.
That's right. That would have been great. Like we could have easily started the recording and went for a while before realizing that we weren't recording you.
No, we always talk too much about etching. It would have been noticeable.
That's true. There's always the etch.
That being said, Anthony also, his first intro to this was, hello and welcome to episode 176 of Black Widow. Wait, no, that's not right. So we've both been in rare form, and we've already had a grade A tangent. So let's get to the beer 15 minutes into the show, or whatever it is.
What do we do here?
So we're going to... Oh, wow, it's pretty close. Well, that's technically total recording time. So anyway, we're drinking something that Anthony wanted to drink like months ago. That we couldn't.
I got real excited about this one.
I forgot to bring him the accompaniment to this beer. And this is the first time that we're doing a food pairing with a beer on the show. We've talked about them before, never actually done it. So this is the Newberg Brewing Salted Nut Roll, the original Pearson's Salted Nut Roll. It's peanut packed. It's making everyday moments a little sweeter since 1909. Now, this is one of their collaborations, but this is their first collaboration with a candy.
Yeah.
It's cream ale with peanuts, vanilla, lactose, and salt. An idea conceived at Bond Place Brewing and brought to the Hudson Valley by Newberg Brewing. It's got a couple logos on the side. One of them is a heart. And on the one half of the heart is a beer. And it says that it's brewed with heart.
Oh, that's really clever. I like that.
The other one is the Bond Place Brewing Company, Bassinger. It's a pint. It's 7.5% alcohol by volume, and not only does this have a little story, it's got a little card that came from Newberg when I ordered this, and it's got a little bit more about the salted nut roll.
Okay.
Great craft beer does not happen without a lot of hard work. Pearson's salted nut roll has been fueling the hard work of brewers for many years. In fact, the salted nut roll is often referred to as the brewer's lunch. It also happens to be a great pairing with your favorite craft beer. When you're ready to reload, please visit us at www.pearsoncandy.com. Your next brewer's lunch is just clicked away.
The brewer's lunch? Is that really a thing?
I don't know. According to them, it is.
I mean, you could say whatever you want, right? I sure do when we start the show.
Yeah, I suppose you could. Now, so a few weeks before they announced the beer, which was right before they canned it, in all of the orders, this was during the height of Newberg was doing deliveries for the pandemic, right? And I was ordering from the lot because I love those guys, and also their beer is delicious, and drinking their delicious beer was getting me through the pandemic. And also eating their empanadas, which were delightful.
Yeah, you were all about those empanadas. I still haven't gotten one. The other day, hey, quick tangent. Kim came home the other day from a market with 2 empanadas, and I was like, nice. Oh, what a treat.
I had empanadas last night, not from Newberg, though, from a Mexican place. Delightful Mexican dinner from my mom.
Is an empanada Mexican?
I don't know that it's Mexican specifically.
Like a Spanish?
I know it's often in there, but I know it's also in Puerto Rican cuisine as well as...
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, they sent that little bite-sized morsel that's in your hand with the old deliveries, even though they didn't include salted nut rolls, and said, just hang on to this. You're going to want to use this soon or eat this soon. And they're like, more on that later. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds exciting. And then they announced the salted nut roll ale. And then when you ordered one, you could order a full-size salted nut roll.
Oh, nice.
So I have a full-size one. Anthony has the bite-size one.
I have the bite-size jam. It seems like it is an authentic Mexican cuisine.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it's not necessarily like authentic in other cultures as well. Just
yeah. So I have the original salted nut roll. It's peanut packed, as I said.
It's brewed with heart.
It's not brewed with heart. I'm looking at it, and it looks like an interesting old school throwback candy because they show on the front of it a cross-sectional piece of it, and there is clearly vanilla nougat on the inside.
Yeah, I was going to say, on yours, there's a little hint at what I'm actually getting myself into, which I'm pretty excited about.
Coated in caramel, and then peanuts stuck to the caramel. And those are the things that are listed on this.
Oh my goodness.
So do you want to...
peeling mine open.
So do you want to crack open and take a little bite of the nut
Yeah,
roll
I wasn't sure how we should
sip?
approach this. Like, is it bite, sip?
I said, we're definitely
sip,
have to
bite,
alternate.
sip?
We're definitely have to alternate. Let's take a bite of this first.
Oh my god. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the last time I had like a legitimate candy bar either, so I'm pretty excited about this.
Oh, me either. It's been a long time.
Right. Have you ever had one of these before?
No, I've never heard of it before this beer. Sorry, I'm talking to you through my salted nut roll. It's pretty tasty.
Yep. Oh, man.
Also, that sound is back again.
Yeah, it sure is.
So this is a tasty candy bar. There is no chocolate in this, which surprised me because I anticipated there being a chocolate component as well. That being said, I don't regret that there isn't any. I was just expecting it. This is very tasty.
Very good. Very sweet.
I could see legitimately snacking on this somewhat, even though it's so very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another, since I have a lot of bar, I'm going to take another little bite before I take a sip.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, this probably sounds disgusting for the listeners, but honestly, you got to get in on this. You got to try this jam.
That's pearsonscandy.com. And please, if they ask you like how you found out about them or whatever, mention our show because we've given a lot of free promotion to the many beers that we love.
That's true.
I'm going to take a sip of this beer very carefully over here because my glass is way too full. Cheers.
Cheers. Excuse me. Oh, it goes so good together.
I can tell you were joking on it.
That is really good.
Yeah, I want to take another sip now because it went together so well that I couldn't tell where beer started and candy started.
Yeah, I agree. It's like when you put your finger in like 98-degree water. You just don't know, like where do I end? You know,
it's kind of in the style of like one of those very sweet dessert beers, but I don't feel like it's firmly entrenched in that position where it's like, oh, I only want really honestly half of this beer, but I'll get through one and then like, I don't want any more. I could probably drink a couple of these. It's pretty damn tasty.
It is very tasty. It looks like apple cider.
It does look a little bit like apple cider. Like if you have like unfiltered apple cider with the mother, but like you didn't swirl the mother up into it all the way.
Right. That's a fact. This is it's. I don't know how to describe this. I feel like there's like almost like a little bit of like a sourness on the nose.
I think that's probably the lactose.
Not in the flavor though. It's really good though.
I keep going back to that goddamn vanilla nougat in the middle. It's so good.
It is very nice. I'm gonna you talk. I'm gonna finish this nut roll.
I was gonna say, I just want the vanilla nougat. I want a bar of just that because it's
just
so
the middle.
Good. Yeah,
I don't know how I'd tackle it though.
Probably with reckless abandon.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. You got me. Call my bluff. All right. Oh man, I would say. Sorry, this is really disgusting. Talking like this, chewing on.
I know. I was
caramel.
doing it before, but that's what happens when you're chewing nougat, caramel, and peanuts. It's going to take 10 minutes to chew even the tiniest bite.
It's a next level experience for sure. This is an easily 3 thuckle beer, but you add in the nut roll.
It's a 4 thuckle experience.
And it's a 4 thuckle experience. It might be the coveted 5 thuckle slot.
Wait, now we're going to 5 thuckles?
I think if you move down to the feet, then maybe it's like a bunion.
Is this like the?
It's 4 thuckles and a bunion.
Is this a double jointed situation where the people who have the thumbs that go both ways?
Yes.
Or is this like more
when they do that thing and they're like hitchhiking but they're pointing backwards?
Or is this more like in Family Guy when they talked about the mythical 4th hole?
Yeah, probably that.
It's right here behind the knee, but just like platform 9 3/4 in Harry Potter, you have to believe in it.
All right, I gotta say, the washing that candy bar down with this beer makes it one of the best things I've ever had.
That's what I'm saying. I think
no
this
exaggeration.
This is a 4 thuckle experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's interesting about this is I do notice a lot of the overlap of the flavor of like the caramel vanilla-y aspect of the beer and the thing. But what sets it apart, what makes the experience so good, is it don't really taste like the salt and the peanut in the
I agree.
beer. But when you have the mouthful that you've just swallowed of the candy bar, and then you take the sip of the beer, and you get the saltiness still like lingering on your palate as you taste the beer. Oh my gosh, that's
goodness.
That's the nirvana of this experience.
You know what's really upsetting to me?
What?
Never gonna have this again. And I have no more nut roll.
I mean, well, listen. You can acquire more nut roll at pearsonscandy.com.
Sure.
We need to get them to pay us.
Oh man, this is quite good.
I don't know if they still have nut roll there, like beer.
If they do, next time you notice, I'll be needing you to pick some up for me.
I am going to buy some Pearson's nut roll candy. I have one more can of the beer, and we can share it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
When I come meet your small child.
Okay, that's cool. Maybe that's what I'll call him. I've been thinking, like, what are my nicknames going to be for this little guy? I think Salted Nut Roll would be a great nickname. Man. Honestly, I don't think there's anywhere to go from here but down. This is the best. This is one of the best delicious things we've done.
That's it. Just let's call this is like hiatus in 3, 2, 1, go.
I think one of the I think one of the best. Like, we've done a lot of beers that have been really good, and like one of the ones that's most memorable to me is actually not the one that was. It wasn't like the best one, but it was just the wildness of what I continue to call the sour Jessica Porter.
That was from like our first episode.
I know, which I'll never have again either.
Well, I told you, right, that I was betrayed during the pandemic. They released a rare stock of it, and I couldn't get it. Bastards. I told you that, though.
And like, all this free promotion.
Well, because it's so good, they sold it out that quick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Oh man, so good. I think we've rambled on enough about the Salted Nut Roll, and I'm sure that it'll come back up while you. Are you
sure?
To finish
Are you sure that we've rambled enough?
I mean, not really. I would keep talking about it, but I feel like we're losing listeners by the second.
Listen,
hopefully, because they've exited the app and they've gone to the website, Pearson's Candy. What was it?
It's pearsonscandy.com.
Oh man, I think you're gonna have to see if they have some sort of online presence. You're gonna have to hit them up when you post this one.
Yes. Yeah. Could you imagine? First of all, this is like literally 100-year-old candy company. We
What's a podcast?
Well, I was gonna say, like, I'm expecting like their Twitter to be like black and white and old timey.
Mm-hmm.
That is, if they even have
it. Their Twitter has a monocle. I'm not sure how it works.
Well, first of all, peanuts and monocles. I'm sure that's got to be copyrighted, trademarked.
That's
by
fair.
planners.
Yeah. These are definitely planners also. Oh man, like what do you like? What if you had one of these? Oh my god, are you ready for this? Are you ready for the ultimate experience?
No, hang on a second. Are you ready for this?
Oh, what do you got?
Because on Twitter, I searched Pearson Candy, but the top search result was a person named Candy Pearson.
Man, that's a what kind of effect is that?
It's the Candy Pearson.
Is that the nut roll effect?
They do not seem to have a Twitter
that's
presence.
a shame.
I cannot say that I'm surprised by.
Yeah, same. But I'm thinking like you go out, right? You get yourself a salted nut roll ale, and you pour yourself a nice big old glass, and you go to Five Guys, and you get some of the peanuts out of the box while you order your burger. Maybe you order the burger with the peanut butter on it. You eat
I've
that.
definitely never had that. You know, I feel brief sidebar here.
Mhm.
There is a Five Guys Burgers and Fries, approximately 1.2 miles from my house. It's been there for, let's call it conservatively, 13 years.
Sure.
I've been there once.
Wow. I like Five. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of a place that does a smash patty.
The one time I went there, I enjoyed my time there.
Yeah.
Never been there since.
Good time. I've never ordered I've been there a handful of times. I've never ordered the peanut butter on the burger, but I did make that one day. And boy, oh boy, was it delicious. The only problem was, and if you're not familiar with this, when you heat up peanut butter,
it gets super liquidy.
It becomes napalm.
That's
actually how you make napalm. You get yourself some nut rolls, you throw them into lava, napalm. I think that's it.
Is that what it is?
That's what
like
the military's doing.
Is that what was like happening in which one was it? Was it Apocalypse Now? Where
I think so.
Someone just was having breakfast, they made some toast, they smeared some peanut butter on it, and then it ignited and burned many Viet Cong soldiers. And I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Like that's what happened there.
Because it's peanuts. It's burning peanuts.
Yeah.
Delicious.
So please continue with your idea of why peanut butter is napalm.
Okay, so peanut butter becomes a little bit more liquidy when you heat it up.
Yes, that's what I said.
However, it does not lose its sticky consistency.
That's correct.
If you bite into the hamburger just a little bit too early, you no longer have a roof to your mouth. Which is exactly what happened to me, and it took a few days for those grooves to come back. That's how bad it was.
Sorry, I'm ignoring you talking about the burned roof of your mouth because for my last bite of nut roll, I chewed it about halfway. And then I took a sip of beer with the nut roll still in the mouth.
Okay, all right.
Found the mythical fifth buckle. Also almost choked to death, but it was worth it.
Worth it. Oh man, that's Jesus.
And I didn't choke on one of the peanuts or the nougat or the caramel. By the way, almost choked
on the experience.
I almost aspirated the beer into my lungs trying to take a sip because apparently I didn't know how to swallow fluid only and breathe at the same time. So I almost aspirated beer into my lungs and choked on the experience.
So good. I like that. Oh man, that's another T-shirt. I'm pretty sure. Flix and a 6 on the front, on the back. Choke on the experience.
I still don't have a Spin Tune T-shirt. Why don't I have a Spin Tune T-shirt?
You know what? You don't have a Spin Tune T-shirt, but I have a Spin Tune onesie.
You have a onesie as well? Protest.
Thanks, bro.
That's it. Hiatus now.
Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say thanks, Kristen. That was definitely a Kristen
for the rest of the episode. I swear to God, anytime anything doesn't go in my way, I'm just initiating hiatus. Then
hiatus. That's how hiatus works. Hiatus.
It's definitely hiatus. I'm still choking a little bit because again, nearly aspirated beer into my lungs. It's like, and I don't even really watch The Office, but I know the scene when Michael Scott declares bankruptcy. I'm just gonna for the rest of the episode. I declare hiatus.
I declare bankruptcy. Oh man! All right, Al, we've gone on long enough. It's time for some news and nuggets.
Okay. I first of all though, that's been a tremendous ramble session.
I agree. When you're 31 minutes in and really haven't said much, I think that's a good show.
And people wonder why we have a 3-hour show that only has 1 hour on the movie of the week.
If you're lucky.
Okay, let's get some news and nuggets.
All right, I'm going to start off with my new job. So I didn't actually get a new job, but I was given an opportunity at work to do what I am now considering something that I can put on my resume as voiceover. But I am the voice of the parachute support hotline. When you call in and you get the command prompts of like, press 1 to do this. I recorded the whole script.
Oh, I would have done it for a per diem. And I could have tortured all of your customers with my terrible, terrible voice, as I do all of our listeners weekly.
See, here's the thing, though. You hate your voice.
I do.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's fine.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you don't.
Yeah. I say fine because I don't think there's any way to say anything more than that doesn't sound weird.
Well, listen, if you're I think
voice. What?
Well, no, well, I mean, there's other ways to say it, right? Like you have a strong voice or you have a weak voice, right? Like you have you can just go with generic adjectives. Like I know my voice can trend towards the raspy at times. I know that. Well, certainly it's not even.
You have an interesting raspy high though.
Yes,
which I feel like is different. It's unique.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I know it can trend towards raspy at times. Mm-hmm. It's funny because there are some times where I sound like, in my own ears, it feels like I sound like sandpaper on whatever is going to make the raspiest sound that you can make it on. And then I listen to it back because I'm like, God, I sounded terrible in that episode. And it doesn't sound significantly different than other times. I'm like, so what was going on that I heard it so very raspy in my own ears that day? I know it's a very loud voice. I can project with the best of them.
Sure.
It can go quite deep and also quite high. I guess I have a lot of range, though not a lot of range in singing.
Huh. Interesting. I discovered a weird thing where when I record, when we do a recording like this and I'm just talking normally and I listen back to it, I definitely hear a difference than what I hear in my head. Right?
Yes. Well, I've told you, sometimes when I hear my own voice recorded, like if I hear like the audio from like a video someone took of us like at a party or something like that, I sometimes don't recognize my own voice.
Who's that? But yes. the other part to it though is if I sing and I record myself, it sounds the same to me in my head and outside. Which is very weird. I don't
have the courage to record my own singing voice. If you think I hate my speaking voice, the paradox is I really enjoy singing. I will sing so much while driving alone in a car listening to music.
Love it. What if it turns out that you have the voice of an angel when you sing?
No, I don't, because I've heard it before.
Oh my God. It's like Fergie and Jesus.
No, it's very much not that.
Anyway.
That being said, I would have loved to do the phone tree. I think that would have been hilarious for me to do. That being said, tell me more about your voiceover.
There's really not much to it, except I didn't realize how much I was going to put into it. When I started, I was like, all right, I'm going to record some of these things. But then I was like, I ended up spending like an hour and a half like tweaking my settings, make sure that the recording is super crisp and clean. I used a tool that I have to noise cancel a bit because cars like to drive down the street at the most inopportune time.
Motorcycles.
And luckily, when I set it up, it actually did cut it out perfectly, which was nice. Okay. Did a couple of like post-processing things, like removing clicks and hums and stuff like that. So I like really got like the space set up to do it. And then like the first script piece that I read over and over again, like I did it like 12 times until I was satisfied with the way it sounded. And I was like, I kind of like this. And then I, of course, like for my own fun, I did a couple of recordings in different voices. Like there was a 10-minute span where Christopher Walken was the voice of our support hotline. And then I did Kermit the Frog.
Oh my God.
And I was talking to one of my coworkers about it. And he's like, no, you should absolutely do each of the lines in a different voice, which I think would be great if like somebody welcomes you and then somebody else says, I'm sorry, what you've entered isn't correct.
Actually, I kind of like that. It would make it a little more interactive. It would feel a little bit more like they spent some time working on it. Like, oh, this was a different person who's telling me that, fuck you, what you're asking for isn't available.
Yeah, yeah. Or like get really dramatic. Oh no, like your number's not in the system. Like just get really into it. But it was a lot of fun, and I would be
actually I would really love that if you like made it sound really desperate when like you had, when like when you call some like where for like customer service or whatever, and like they put you on hold and like we'll put you on with the next human operator who's available. Like after like the third time that iterates, if the next one was, I swear to God, I'm looking everywhere and they're all busy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I was definitely like, there's a lot of the lines ended with "please try again," and like I by like the third or fourth one, I really wanted to just be like, "Please, please," just be real desperate about it. But it was fun. It was fun. Al,
yes,
give me a news.
A news?
Yeah.
Well, this is a very small, short one. So we have official confirmation that the Lord of the Rings show
dun, dun,
on Amazon is a real thing. We know this because they shared with us a couple of days ago a still shot from the making of the show. Not a behind the scenes, not a storyboard. It was a real life, honest to God, photograph of something from the show.
That's awesome.
It's totally vague. It seems to be a person of, I'm not sure if they're human or elf variety, approaching what seems to be a fairly elven-looking city or town or whatever. So, on a hill, it's grassy, it's green. There's some lens flare.
Yep, classic. And they gave they just did they give a date or was it just a 2022?
September 2nd, 2022.
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah, 9222.
Okay. Interesting. I really thought it would have been a little bit further along by now.
Well, how long have they had the race now? 8 years?
I don't know. It's been a while. I feel like we've been talking about this since...
It's been at least 5 or 6 years.
Sour Jessica Porter.
we may have been talking this. We may have been talking about this. I'm fairly certain we've been talking about this prior to the Sarah Jessica Porter.
Oh, man. That's funny. I mean, you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I actually think that I'm probably going to end up watching a lot of The Lord of the Rings over the next few months.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, you're going to have
put it on, zonk out.
I mean, when you have a brand new, like, infant, there's zero impact. What you could be watching Scarface. They're not going to.
Yeah. No, I fully intend to put The Dark Knight on, like, the first time.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. Let's pivot from The Lord of the Rings, because it really, honestly, isn't much to talk about.
Sure.
We've talked about a lot, and this is not, like... When we get to a trailer, finally, that's going to be exciting. I watched a movie last night. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Excited.
It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty famous director.
Okay.
The lead is, well, I know he was in Newsies and like Empire of the Sun years and years ago.
Okay.
And it's also got Jake Gyllenhaal. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal's sister and the guy from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Why did you say it that way?
Did you not notice all of the random references I'm making?
No, I know what you're doing. I just like I don't understand. The way that you said it was ridiculous.
The guy from Battle LA. Yeah,
there's a lot of people in that movie, huh?
It's a pretty good movie. I got a little tired and I didn't get all the way to the end, but I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's called The Dark Knight. I was watching it last night from like 5 seconds in to like
until like 5 seconds before it ends. I have this weird thing about seconds.
No, it started late and I was about to fall asleep. And I want to say it's the last scene I actually watched. I definitely recall one of the last scenes being... Oh, no. Sorry. The last bit I watched was when Rachel gets thrown out of the party, like out the window and saves her. Like, and then I was like, good. Okay, I'm literally falling asleep.
Rachel!
Yeah. So, like, that was the last part I saw. So, like, I saw, I don't know, roughly half-ish of the movie. Maybe.
Yeah.
Almost 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty damn good movie, though.
Oh, my God. I love the movie so much.
It's been a while since... Actually, I know for sure I have not seen it since we watched it to do the episode, which was like 2 years ago. So,
you know, it's funny. I haven't watched it through since then either, and it is my favorite movie. But, like, I haven't watched it through since then. But I will, anytime that I get like some sort of new tech, whether it be like a new set of speakers or like an upgraded surround like amp or a new TV, I always play the heist scene as my test ground for it. And it's
Did you hear that?
I did. What just happened?
That's a fly.
Did the fly just go into the microphone?
It buzzed and it landed right on the microphone.
That was weird. That everybody heard that.
Because I heard it before I saw it. It's still there. and I want to swat the shit out of it, but there's 110% chance I break the microphone and my Newberg.
Sure, yeah, you're just gonna have to leave that, I think.
Now, hang on, everyone.
If only you had a salt gun, because then if you were to hit it with that and a little bit went into the beer, you would just be adding some salt to that salty nut roll.
Is a salt gun a thing?
Yeah, it's called the Bug Assault, and it's a gun that you cock in some salt, and then when you shoot it, it sprays out, and the salt particles hit the fly and murder it.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. If only you had. Man, that's pretty cool though that you were able to hear, that you could hear it so crystal clear.
It was even cooler when it buzzed away. That was a great.
He's really helping us out with this final show.
I was the whole time. I don't know if you saw my hand was off to the side of the screen here. I was gonna tell you all, please turn the volume down because I'm gonna flick it off the top of the microphone. You all might go deaf, including myself, because
Oh my god, that's really funny. That was amazing. Yeah, but the bug. It's called the Bug Assault.
I have to look into.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna have to buy one of those bug zappers for Dominic's friend Brian's house because we've gone there a few times, and I swear to God, all of them live. Because the last couple of times I've been there, I've walked away with easily 400 mosquito bites.
Ooh, you don't want that.
Yeah,
that sucks. Oh man, that's a great movie to throw on. What you just came across it on TV. I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, I was. What was I?
Awesome.
I was watching something with my brother. He went to bed, and I was like, I'm not really ready to go to bed. Let me watch something for half an hour or so, and I watched that for more than.
Man, that reveal of the Joker is so perfect and so exciting, even having seen the movie 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that he's framed and the pulling off of the mask. Oh my god, it's so good. You and your friends are dead. It just gets me every time.
I was gonna say even more than that. It's no. The first time he actually speaks. No, I killed the bus driver.
That head tilted to the side as he steps out of the way. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I can't remember the actor's name. The character's name is Lau, and I will see him in random things, and I will point him out to. I don't think she's picked up on it, but I will just randomly point him out in things and be like, "Oh, he's good with calculation." That line is so. It's I don't know. It just doesn't fit in that. I just hate it. It's so cheesy.
And he says it a couple of times.
And he said, yeah, and like I said, and I'm good with calculation. And it's just every time it sticks. I'm like, ugh. So every time I see him, that's all I can think about. And then obviously he's not playing the same character, so it's weird.
Chin Han.
He was in something recently. Can you look up his recent
Skyscraper?
Nope.
Mortal Kombat. He's Shang Tsung.
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
I don't think I ever would have realized that was.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Anyway, I'm kind of jealous that you watched that, but I will be watching it soon. I'm going to go into Newberg in the Wild real quick. So the other night, after one of our appointments, we went out to dinner because it was late and we thought we were going to be back home sooner, and we did not. So we went to a restaurant nearby the Midwives. And they're still doing the scan for the menu jam. But they have it separated, and when you scan for the beer menu, it brings you to their Untapped page and has their list of draft beers on Untapped.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Which is kind of cool with the descriptions and the ratings from people, which I actually think is kind of awesome. Lo and behold, item number 3 on the list is Newberg, the triple boss one, whatever that one is called.
Terra
Boss. Yeah. I was like, huh.
No, Giga or Terra?
It was Terra.
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't get it. Because if I remember correctly, it does have a bit of a boozy taste, and it's in the 10% range, and I wanted something much lower.
Yeah, it was I'm throwing out a number here, and you can call me a douche if I got the number right, but it was 9.6 or something.
It's 10 plus. It's 10 points.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. But I was that's cool. I actually I don't often get to have Newburgh on draft, so like I was like really going back and forth on it. But I ended up getting.
I've drank so much Newburgh on draft.
But I was like, oh man, that's really cool to see this out there. Like I love that, and also like we went to that place one time before, like at a previous appointment, and I was like, they have a good beer selection, and it rotates pretty regularly because we weren't there that long. Oh, how about this? You're gonna love this. You're a nacho guy, right? You like nachos?
I mean, is there anyone who doesn't?
Okay. So they have so Kim and I usually will share something when we go out to eat. And if we're feeling hungry, we will share something and an appetizer. All right. So we decided we're pretty hungry. We're going to share a buffalo chicken wrap and the appetizer half order of nachos.
Okay.
All right. Sounds reasonable.
Sorry, half order of nachos? Is it like a plate of nachos where they clearly made a full plate and chopped it in half and scraped the other half away?
No, I'm glad you asked because that's actually where the story is going. A half order of nachos, I assume, would mean they have a full order that is cut in half just by the amount of stuff that's on the plate. But here's the rub. Half order. It was half of the rest of the nachos in the world. That's how big the plate was. Like it was like this. It was a smaller sized plate, but the nachos went up a good 9 inches.
So 120% of the nachos that should have fit on that plate.
Yeah, exactly. It was delicious, and I felt horrible afterwards.
Fantastic.
I felt like I felt hungover the next morning.
Oh, wow.
I think I had a salt hangover.
Let's say a couple of things to clean up.
It assaulted my senses.
Wow.
Sorry.
Cool. Loser. Couple of things to clean up on all of that storytelling you just did. One, Sunday, wore my Terra Boss shirt that you have as well.
Nice.
Went to the beach, wore my Terra Boss shirt. 2, the best nachos I ever had was in some bar in University City in Philadelphia. It was nachos with some sort of pulled pork, a white cheddar queso drizzle.
Yeah. You got to get that queso going.
Cherry peppers?
There were cherry peppers on these nachos.
Sliced.
It's a game changer.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Sliced cherry peppers.
Our nachos.
Yes. And then, exactly. Those were some of the best nachos.
Oh my God. Arthur's needs to start making nachos.
Our nachos?
Where they do slices of the steak on it too.
And slices of the cherry peppers.
Yeah.
And how can we incorporate the French onion soup?
Caramelized onions?
There you go. That's it.
We just workshopped this. This is going to be the first menu item at our brewery. It's going to be our nachos.
Some sort of Gruyere sauce drizzle?
Yeah. Gruyere queso.
Okay.
Great.
This is going to be a wildly too expensive nacho dish, but it's going to be so damn good.
Yeah, these are the nachos that sink the brewery.
There was I had one other thing based on the stuff you said. Fuck, I don't remember what it was now. Oh, sorry. We were talking about Mexican food before. I said I had empanadas. Mm-hmm. Such a good Mexican dinner last night. I had enchiladas. They were seafood enchiladas. Crab meat and shrimp. Mm-hmm. Green sauce.
Yep.
With all the expected rice and bean accoutrement. Yeah. We had empanadas. We had a chicken empanadas. We had beef empanadas. There was guac on the enchiladas. There was harvested from the garden. I want to say they're Portuguese hot peppers. It was a meal. It was a feast.
Nice. That sounds delightful.
It was.
Well done. That last night, nut rolls tonight. Who's better than you?
No one. Not right. Not at this moment.
What do you got? You got another nugget news for me?
Yeah, sure. Let me just dig it out of my phone because I don't remember. Oh, sure. Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, that was pretty scary, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember seeing that early in the morning, one of the days last week, Tuesday, I want to say? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that's not
like this.
Good. Yeah. Definitely not like this. And also I was like, well, listen, it's probably just some overheating, heat stroke-y stuff. They're shooting in New Mexico right now, and it's summer, and that'll be fine. And then, like, later that day, it's like, yeah, no, he's in pretty rough shape. Everyone give him your thoughts and prayers. I was like, no, not like this.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not fair. Like, seems like he's in pretty good shape. He did a fucking Keanu Reeves style action movie.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's what did it.
A few months ago, like, he's in as good a shape as he's going to be for 60-ish-year-old man. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it seems like he's okay. So that was an unnecessary scare for all of us.
So glad that he's fine, because that would have been a real bummer.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a big part of this that's selfish, right? Like, it's like, no, you can't do this to me.
No, I want the rest of the show.
At the end of the show, you can't do it to me. And, like, I definitely feel guilty about that. I don't like that. But, like, in all seriousness, like, Bob Odenkirk's great. He's funny.
Yeah, for sure. But, that definitely creeps into your mind, right? Because it's like, while you love the actor and the characters that they play, it's like that is your attachment to them, is their work. So like when the possibility of that disappearing, it actually is like a weird, even though it seems selfish, I do feel like it is a weird like grieving thing of almost being like, oh my God, no, I really wanted more. Like I want to see this person again. I remember like being like, fuck, when Heath Ledger died.
Yeah. I mean, how many people went through that stuff with people like Heath Ledger, or like when Alan Rickman died, or David Bowie, or like any other number of like actors, especially like, it sucks when like an older actor, actress, or musician or whatever dies, but when they're like 95 years old, like it's like, okay, well, yeah, sure. Like it's your time and it sucks. But like you lose someone who's in the 60 to 70 range.
Oh, wow. When you lose a Chadwick Boseman.
You lose, Chadwick Boseman.
Oh my
in
God.
his early 40s, like, and he's just really, truly hit the peak of his fame in the last 5-ish years,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, there was so many more stories that they could tell, so many more performances we could enjoy. And then on top of that, you hear a guy like him seems like he was like a really good dude too, and like going out and doing good in the world. It's like that's.
Mm-hmm.
I
just remembering like how much of like a movement there was when that movie came out, and just like how I don't know, I feel like it was
a phenomenon.
Good, and it was like, oh, that really sucks. But then every time I hear his voice, like when they do like because they've been doing it in like the Marvel openings, he has a line in there. I'm just like that. It gives me chills every time.
Yeah,
but that's a shame. But I'm glad Bob Odenkirk is okay.
Yeah, me too.
So, what are you watching anything good these days?
So, by a very specific definition of good, I am now an episode or 2 behind. Actually, the finale might have aired the other day. I might be 2 episodes behind. Me and Gianna watched a batch of Kevin Can Fuck Himself. I know you were.
We kind of stopped, but how is it? Has it gotten better? Is it worth going back into?
So you weren't liking it? So
I was okay with. I would watch the rest of it. Kim might be off the show.
So that's what I said by a specific definition. It is absolutely entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if good is the right word,
Gotcha.
but I have definitely been entertained by the show, especially as it goes more and more. The thing is, I'm noticing kind of a theme with some of the AMC shows of the last few years that weren't like the true blue, really good shows, like the Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, or even something like *Halt and Catch Fire* or *Humans*, which I only saw very little bit of, which I'd like to go watch. Like they're batshit crazy, kind of. I watched.
They're out,
and like some of it in like a soap opera way. Like I watched several years ago. There was one season of it. *Feed the Beast*. It's a bad show. Couldn't look away though, like because like there was some fun, but it's like, oh god, this is bad, and it didn't last but a season. This is better than that because there feels like a really coherent plan for the show, like 50,000 foot view. Some of the nitty gritty is not great, but like I love that there's a very specific vision for this show, and the polarity of it as the way it jumps to and from the drama side and the sitcom side, and the fact that the sitcom side makes me cringe and want to throw something at the television, and the drama side is actually supplied most of my best laughs.
Yeah.
That dichotomy is kind of cool, I think, because it's breaking that convention on a show that's already a breaking of convention, or rather an awkward melding of 2 conventions.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying it. I think that it's accelerated some of the stuff beyond what I expected. Some of it is so easy to call ahead of time, and yet some of it also keeps me like, I'm not 100% sure what's going to come next here.
Sure.
It's just a lot, but in a good way.
Cool. No.
And it's only 8 seasons. Oh, sorry, it's only 8 episodes the first season.
So. 8 seasons?
Yeah, no. It's only 8 episodes the first season. I've watched the first 6. I think the 8th one might have been out the other day, so me and G finished that.
All right, so I should probably catch up on that because I do want to see where it goes because I personally was enjoying it, but Kim was kind of trailing off on it, so I don't know if she's going to want to watch the rest of it.
There was definitely a bit of a rough patch in those first 3-ish episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It, like I said, it's entertaining. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. But Annie Murphy, is awesome.
Yes, and she's really good in this. And the one who plays her husband's friend's wife, sister, who I'm forgetting her name now.
Yeah,
she's been really good in it too.
Yeah, from what I've seen too. Mary Hollis in Bowden?
That's the actress's name. I forgot the character.
Patty O'Connor?
Yes, Patty, that's it. She's been really good. The show has one of the all-time randomest cameos of all time.
Really?
Yes. In the last episode we watched, there is former New York Ranger Sean Avery.
Okay.
Playing himself. It's so weird. Well, they do a whole Boston Bruins versus ex-New York Rangers.
Is it as weird as the random? Actually, that seems like it's more grounded than the. I don't know who the sports person was, but in New Girl, during the funeral, that shows up because Pete was his agent, and he fired him over text messages, and they wanted to get to the phone to delete the text message before the family saw. And Jess was trying to delete. Yeah, Jess was trying to delete the messages that she sent to him when she found out that he has a wife or a girlfriend.
I don't remember this at all.
I think it might have been a hockey player or something. No, maybe a football player. I don't know. I don't sports.
Wow, who was Pete on the show? I don't even remember who that was.
I don't even know if he was in more than one episode, or even if he was actually in an episode or not. It might have just been an abstract character that she was dating.
I have no memory of that. I have to look this up now. But no, the only reason it was Sean Avery was outsized famous for how good of a player he was because he was a pest of a player, which is why everyone who was a fan of the team that he wasn't playing for. He was an absolute pest. And he also was kind of one of the first people to start breaking down some of the barriers in sports on stuff like kind of the machismo, bravado stuff. And I'm 99% sure he's not gay, but even just the idea of just not being super stereotypically manly, macho and all that stuff. And he was super into fashion and stuff like that. But I know he was hated by everyone who watched him who wasn't a fan of his team.
It
was Clayton Kershaw.
Okay. I think I said Paul, but that wasn't the right character because Paul was Justin Long characters.
Okay, you said Pete at first. But
Pete? No, it was Pete. I think Pete was the character.
I don't remember Pete, but I'm just looking up. I'm assuming that's it. It's Clayton Kershaw, which makes sense because the show took place in L.A. and he's been on the Dodgers his whole career. He was the best pitcher in baseball for several years.
Mm-hmm. It was the whole thing where she was like, oh my God, I sexted him and then found out that he's dead and that also, and then and wanted to go delete the message and then found out that, I don't know if she sexted him and they put sexted in quotes when they described the show because it was she was mostly dressed and it was said I don't know, it was making a silly face. But it was just a whole funny thing where the rest of the loft is no, you didn't. But so she's feels like she needs to go to the wake. Mm-hmm. And then she goes and then it turns out that he has a long-term significant other. And then it becomes this oh my God thing. Who do we say we are when they ask? And I need to delete that photo before they find out. And then this baseball player comes in and pretends that he loved him and everything because Pete was his agent. But it was like the only reason that he was there is because he had just fired him over text message and didn't get a response.
Oh,
oh man, it's a very funny episode. But
yeah, I don't remember that one.
Coach goes to the wake as well, and like the three of them end up in the garage looking for it, and they the girlfriend comes in and is like, "What are you guys doing in here?" And he's like, "We were just singing." Like what? Yeah, like we make like up songs about him or something, and they just start rambling things that don't rhyme in sing song, and it's just too much to handle. That show, I've been catching up on like random episodes of it, and it is fantastic.
Oh, I love that show. There were some times where it was so cringy that I kind of wanted to walk away for a minute, like
Sure.
in a different way than like the way I feel with like Curb or Always Sunny, but like similar like effect and feeling of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because there's episodes like that, but then you just get like there's like the long running gags that they do, like the whole thing with Nick and Tran. Like is one of the like when he has the one-sided conversations with him.
Yes,
it's just every time it makes me laugh out loud.
Or the Keaton thing.
Yeah,
or
the Keaton thing.
And also honestly, one of my favorite things from that whole show was just the stupid flashbacks to Nick Schmidt in college.
Those are pretty great. I do love Schmidt has some really great reactions, even when he is not the focal point of the scene. So like
yeah, just in the background, yeah.
Yeah, like a character will say something and he'll do like a quick head turn. Like and that's the thing that always gets me. Yeah. It's so good. Max, I think his name is Max Greenberg. He'll do some he has some Instagram posts that he did like during the quarantine with his daughter like doing homework and stuff, and they were really funny to watch if you ever get a chance to go and check those out. But man, I love that show. All right, so you're watching Kevin Kneff himself. Anything else?
Not anything that's like concurrently airing. Like I've just popped on some random movies. Like I mentioned, The Dark Knight. I actually got to watch a good bit of Forgetting Sarah Marshall again the other day. I watched all of I Love You Man, which has been a little bit since I've seen that. Oh
man, yeah, that's a good one. You're a whore, Peter.
Yeah, with us going to Vegas, I watched 21 this weekend.
Jim Sturgis.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Nice. You should watch The Hangover.
No.
I assume you'll have a similar trip.
No, we were talking about Vegas and blackjack and math, and actually, your sister was over for the week, and we watched 21 on Saturday.
Nice.
So, watched the second half of The Gentleman, which my dad put on and decided to explain to your sister. To then watch the second half of because he loves the movie so much.
It's so funny.
Yes. I don't know. There's a handful of other odds and ends. I'm sure I'll remember one thing or other as we continue on. What have you been watching?
I have been watching. Okay, so Ted Lasso season 2 started, which is fantastic. I've mentioned it before. The first season.
I still haven't got around to it because I don't have Apple.
But oh my god, so it's so far so good. I started watching Mythic Quest, which has really like it's. I rarely audibly laugh when I'm watching something by myself. But this show it lands so many horrible jokes that I just have to, and I just start cracking up.
Yeah, I've heard good things. That's the Rob McElhenney show.
Yeah, and he in particular, like the way that he commits to a bit, like really, like I'm hysterical in certain scenes. There's this whole shtick where so he's like this like egomaniac macho guy, right? And the lead software engineer wants to distract him for the day while she tries to figure something out. Mm-hmm. And she brings up one of the other engineers to sit in the main floor and to introduce him to her. Oh, like I just wanted to introduce you to one of our great engineers. Is how she portrays it. And Rob McElhenney had come in and he was like, oh, great. And he goes to say hello to the guy. And the guy gets up to shake his hand and he like towers over him by like 3 feet. And like this sends him into like a spiral for the rest of the episode. And he's trying to one up this guy and it's just so good.
So that's perfect too. And like, that's one of those things where when you know something about the person, like you get where it's coming. Cause I know he's had like big, like body image issues, going through his like he got jacked, he got super fat, he got even more jacked.
Oh my god, Fat Mac.
Fat Mac.
Yeah.
There was that one episode of, I haven't listened in months, but that one episode of Armchair from like a year or two ago where
that was really good. Yeah,
him and Kumail Nanjiani were on it together talking.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't hear that one. I saw the one with him.
Oh yeah, I'm 95% sure that he did one with him.
Cool.
That both of them were on it at the same time because it was after Kumail went on steroids to do the Eternals thing, which like they kind of talked around, but it's very obvious he did steroids. Like, well, just if you watch the trailer, his face is different. So
yeah.
On top of how the rippling muscle, which everyone saw like in that first like still when they showed all of them, and then like you look at him more closely, like moving around, it's like, oh, your head and face is different than it was, and not in like a plastic surgery sort of way.
Yeah. But that show has been cracking me up, and I got Diane Krugered hard by that show because there's a character who is the writer of the game that they're developing, and he's like this guy. He's a little bit older. He wrote a bunch of sci-fi novels, and now he writes this. He writes the backstories for everybody in the game, and it's Daradal.
It's who?
Daradal. Like
F. Murray Abraham?
Yes.
It's Daradal. That would take me a second to dig that out of the...
and so, that which leads me to the third thing. We just finished season 6 of Homeland, and we've established that Dar and Daradal are the things that are said most often on the show.
Do you remember like how he was introduced on that show? Like,
yes.
Through like CCTV footage. Is that Daradal? I was like, who and or what is that sound?
Who is that? Yeah. What does that mean? What are these syllables? But yeah, that's...
What a weird way to introduce a very important character on the show.
It's like, yeah, they were like, you know what? We need somebody else. We need them to be bigger. I have no time. That's how
I was just like, they said it as if I was supposed to know who that was. I was like, am I forgetting someone from like the first season?
Yeah, that was...
Oh no, you're introducing a new character. Hey, look, it's F. Murray Abraham. Wow.
Yeah, that was very bizarre. But we just finished season 6, which was it was a good season.
He's such a prick at all times. Even when he's a good guy, and he's not always a good guy, he's such a prick.
Who is?
Dar.
Oh yeah, I can't stand him, but like I was like, during it, I was like, okay, they are painting him as like he is the bad guy of the season. That's how they're painting this. So I'm like, so clearly he's probably not. And sure enough, like there was like other things going on behind the scenes and whatnot. But it was a really good episode, really good season. I enjoyed it. I was getting really bummed out. Spoilers for season 6 of Homeland. I was getting really bummed out because I had come to really like Quinn. And then
I told you.
By the end of season 5, I was like, well, he's not dead because they didn't show him die at the end of the season. So he's going to be back. And then when he came back as the shell of his former self, and I was like, there's no him going back to being himself. But the way then I was upset. By the end of the season, I was like, the fact that he didn't win an Emmy for that season is insane to me. Because I feel like that way that he played 3 different characters throughout that show is amazing. Basically. Like, he did a great job, and I want to see him in more things. But
I love that they kind of subtly update the intro throughout the course of the run of the show, and they close with him and his monologue in the letter to her before with the whole thing, and I'll be the light guiding you home. It gives me chills.
Yeah, it's good. So we haven't started the 7th season yet, so I don't know. We have an idea of where it's going based on the finale of the previous season.
What was the end of 6 again, exactly?
The end of 6, Saul and like everybody else gets arrested.
Okay. I forgot, Carrie got arrested too?
No. Carrie was the one that was like in the room to reassure them all that she's not going to come after them legally, that she wants to, like the president wants to be like open and communicative. But then,
that was the one that, say, it ended with Saul in a car calling her, right?
Yeah, FaceTiming her.
Arrested. And Peter was...
Oh, Peter's gone. He died at the end of season 6.
That's what I thought. I just didn't want to say it. I couldn't remember if that was 6 or 7.
And it was funny because like he dies in the end of season 6, and it feels like a point where it feels like they were wrapping up the episode. And I paused it, like ran to the bathroom, and found out that there were 30 minutes left. And it was like, oh, like we have a lot more to go. And then all of this stuff, which was really just set up for the next season, happened.
Yeah.
So 2 more seasons to go. It
was a rough way to go. It was heroic. At least he kind of got.
Yeah, that whole redemption thing was pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, especially because it was such a rough watch with him early on in the season. I felt so bad for the character. It was a hell of a performance. That scene where Astrid dies and he's just losing it was rough.
Yeah,
rough
it really was. Absolutely. And you know what? One of the things that he would do, where like I'm kind of curious, like whether or not it was written or something that the character developed, because this feels like something that somebody who was really into the role like made a choice to do, which is when he would decide what word he couldn't remember to say and would signal it. I thought that was really cool because he did a really good job. Like he was doing like a motion or something that like I knew where he was going, so I know what he's saying, but he can't say it. Like that whole thing was very impressive.
It must have been challenging to do.
I bet. Yeah, but man, I'm enjoying the show.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Sorry. Did the scene with Carrie and Franny happen that I was talking about, or is that not? I told you there was going to be a scene that when you see it, you're going to know.
Oh wait, this might have happened a while ago when she tried to drown him in the tub.
No, not that one. That one was rough too, but that was no. There's another scene. It might be season 7.
Okay. Is it Franny's a little older in the scene?
Yeah, like she's in like preschool or kindergarten, whatever it is.
Okay. She was in that in this season, but like this was the season where like she was being held hostage by Peter.
Who was?
Franny, but she wasn't actually being held hostage.
Oh, okay. Does Carrie have like a really, really big meltdown in this season? Or
she does when Franny's taken away from her.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Franny is safe in this time.
Okay.
Wait, taken away from her by her sister?
No, by like by child services because Peter held them hostage.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's the next season then.
Okay, great. So awesome. So I have something stupid to look forward to. Is what
you're no, it's bad. Like I said, it's a scene that's very serious, and I laughed.
Oh no!
Just because it's so it's not a laugh-worthy topic, but the way it's executed is so ridiculous and over the top that I honestly I guffawed because it was so bad. And I think you'll I feel like you have to know the scene. I just the problem is 6, 7, 8 are all kind of very bunched together because those events are all very tightly linked. So I can't. Some of the events blur together is the order of when they showed up. So I couldn't remember exactly when. I knew it was one of those seasons though because it's after she gets back from Europe.
Gotcha. So the only other thing I'll say on Homeland, I'm enjoying it so far. We've been enjoying the show. We went through, we hit a dip for a while where we're in the 6th season, in the 6th season where we hadn't gone back to watch it, and then all of a sudden put it back on and burned through the rest of the second half.
It's still interesting and entertaining. The quality is just not what it was early on in the show.
Yeah, it definitely has its hits and misses. I do think that there were things. I think that the second half of this season was strong though.
Yeah.
Versus the previous season was a little bumpy in explaining what they were trying to do and actually executing. But then I came across this SNL skit from years ago.
Oh.
With Anne Hathaway playing Carrie Mathison. Matheson?
I think it's Matheson, yeah.
Bill Hader playing Saul Berenson.
Oh.
Keenan playing who was the head of the CIA in the first couple seasons? He's I think he's Martian Manhunter on Supergirl.
Oh yeah.
God, the actor's name is I don't have.
Yeah, he was in the second and third Matrix movie, and
you
said Martian Manhunter from the Justice League, Snyder.
No, from Supergirl, from the show.
Oh, then I don't know. Sorry, I thought you were talking about what's his name. I don't remember who.
But anyway, so Keenan's playing the head of the CIA. Another guy who I can't remember his name is playing Brody. And somebody else is in an interrogation room. And I will send you the clip, but if you guys that are listening can look it up and know anything about Homeland, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed all of the characters.
I was gonna say I never saw the SNL thing, so I don't know, but I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. It was really, really, really silly, but they went through there's a line in it that Keenan goes, "Oh, there goes the lip." Referring to Carrie's quivering lip. It's like she's turning her whole face upside down. And it's just really funny. And they really... and somebody else plays Brody's daughter, who shows up in the scene, and everybody's like, "How did she get here?"
Just say, by the way, does everyone remember Brody's family?
Yeah,
which just like disappeared off the show.
Yep, that's right.
To be fair, I don't really know what they would have done.
Yeah, they couldn't really do anything else with those characters. They ended that storyline pretty aggressively.
It's funny.
So
it's funny because like I started watching Homeland probably a year or two after seeing Deadpool. I was like, oh my god, it's Miranda Baccarin. I was like, I know she was in the show. She's in like half the run of the show. She's in like 30-something episodes.
That's funny. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have for news and nuggets. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Oh boy, does that mean it's time? Is it time for fun and games?
Well, hang on one second, because I want to just put a bow on this, because I looked up the guy for... Yeah, he was in Supergirl. David Harewood?
David Harewood, that's it. Yes.
This guy looks familiar, which is probably because I, watched Homeland, but it's been a while.
Wait, was his name also David on Homeland?
It was... I know his last name was Estes. As soon as I saw... Yeah, David Estes.
Yeah. Estes,
whatever.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of things.
Yeah, I only know that because there was like an entire season where every time they said that, me and Kim were like, what are they saying? And then we had to look up that was the character's name.
I guess I didn't remember the pronunciation, but when I saw the name on like the page here, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. All right, so it's time for some fun and games. Al,
yes,
I believe you are the host of Fun and Games this week.
That's correct.
You got your movie ready for me?
I am ready.
Okay. Did this movie come out during or after the year 2000?
After, yes. During or after, yes.
Okay. Did this movie come out during or after 2010?
No.
Okay, cool. We got a 2000s flick. Is this movie an action movie?
No.
Is this movie a comedy movie?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a primary lead in this film?
Yes. That's 5, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, two about years, 2 about genre, 1 about a lead, so 5.
Okay. Does the lead of this movie have some sort of romantic interest in the film?
Yes.
Okay. Primary lead is... Can I ask here? I feel like, it's funny. I thought I was like, I'm on a roll. I feel like I've got a lot of good information so far. A comedy with a lead, with a romantic interest. And then I was like...
Actually, it's nothing.
All of the things that are coming into my mind now are like, oh no, it's like movies without a primary lead. Other comedies where it's like a buddy movie or an ensemble of some kind. I'm like, damn, what I'm glad I got direct answers to this thing. but no, I feel stuck.
Well, this is not dissimilar from how I started off last week, where I was like, or last episode, where I was like, okay, I'm getting a bunch of answers and none of them are really giving me
That's fair. Is the lead of this movie... I don't know how to phrase this. I want to know if the lead of the movie is part of a group of other comedians that work together in films. Do you know how Adam Sandler has his guys,
mm-hmm.
and Seth Rogen and James Franco, there's that group. So is this lead part of a group like that?
Well, basically all of the comedic actors of the last 20 years are that. So I'm actually gonna refuse to answer the question because it's not helping.
Okay.
Sorry, is my analysis wrong there?
Probably not. I don't know what I would do with the answer no.
That's kind of my point. The answer was going to be yes, no matter who.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Was the lead of this movie ever a cast member of SNL?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay. Does the lead of the movie... Is the lead a male?
Yes.
Okay. Is he normally found adjacent the Adam Sandler troupe?
No.
Okay. I feel like that's a good chunk of people that were on SNL. and unfortunately, all of the people I was thinking about.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I do. I really do. Is this movie set in a contemporary time to when it was released?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 10.
Okay. Is the lead... I feel like I'm asking too many questions about the lead. It's a romantic interest. It's a comedy. It's a 2000s comedy starring a former or current cast member of SNL. Is the movie rated R?
Let me double check. No.
Is I feel very stuck. Oh man, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this. Am I particularly fond of the lead? To your knowledge,
I'm pretty sure you like the lead. I'm pretty sure you like.
Okay.
So yes, yeah. Let's just say yes.
Okay. Is the lead part of like the Sandberg group of people?
No.
Man. 2000s comedy. Starring an SNL cast member. What was the answer to the rated R question?
It's not rated R.
It's not rated R, so we're working with likely a PG-13 movie. PG. Oh. Mike Myers in this movie?
No.
Damn. Is this movie animated?
No.
Okay.
It's 15.
Okay. I'm trying to think of folks that were just not part of the Sandberg troupe, not part of the Sandberg or the Sandler troupe.
To be clear, when you say the Sandler troupe, I'm talking about the actors who were in his movies.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, I guess there is a I'm trying to think of who else was on actors that were in his movie. Okay, he was the only gray area I can think of there is maybe Chris Farley, because like they weren't I don't remember them being in any movies together, but they were close. Whereas David Spade's been in a bunch of his movies, like Rob Schneider's been in a bunch of his movies, those are the ones that I would consider like the Sandler troupe, not Chris Farley, but those guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would use the same definition.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This question could suck. No, I'm not going to ask that. That would really only eliminate one person, maybe a couple people, not probably one. 2000s comedy, romantic interest, SNL cast member. I'm probably like, I feel like I'm probably like the SNL cast member one is probably going to screw me up because I'm probably thinking of like big people and forgetting others. The only other big, how can I start eliminating more things all at once? Is Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, or Chris Farley in this movie?
That is the first time that we've done a question like that, either of us. Yeah, at least one of them is in this movie.
Okay. All right. Trying to think of movies where they've been one-offs. I can think of one Chris Kattan movie that's a one-off. I could think when I say one-off, I mean like where like they're the lead, not don't have like a cohort like that they're doing like that is like a co-lead with them. Like I could think of a Will Ferrell movie like that. Coming up short on Chris Farley. Well, yeah, I've got one Farley movie like that, but I don't know when I can't remember the year that he passed away.
Well, you're asking the wrong person. I wasn't like a big Farley guy, so I definitely don't know what year.
Okay. Are sports involved in this movie at all?
Yes.
Does coffee play a big role in this movie?
Does what?
Coffee play a big role in this movie?
Coffee?
No. I thought I had it, but
no.
Okay.
No, it's not kicking and screaming. I know we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but no. By the way, you have 2 left. That was 18.
Oy.
So technically, you have one question.
No, that was like a dual lead. Well, sports plays a role. I feel like is a big thing to consider.
So I want to be clear. There is a very clear lead. That doesn't mean that the lead doesn't have a sidekick. You're hung up on that a little bit, but I would not call this exactly, because if you're going to extend that, I don't want to say anymore. It is a clear lead.
Sorry, do I have two questions and a guess, or one question and a guess?
One question and a guess.
Okay, all right. I got to think about this then. Claim that it has a singular.
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of hemming and hawing whether I should say something earlier, because it did feel like you got hung up a little bit, but like, I would throw out a greater challenge to your calling Last Action Hero not a cop movie than I would to what I'm saying in this. That there's a singular lead, I would say, in this
movie. A singular. Okay. That's a tough one.
Like, for instance, like Kicking and Screaming has a singular lead.
Yes.
But there are other kind of co-leads in that movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I'm worried now.
Well, I don't want to give you too much, and I definitely don't want to lead you astray either. Like, I'm not trying to like lead you astray, and but like, you could say, what's his name? The father is like a co-lead of that movie. You could say Mike Ditka is a co-lead of that movie, but like, he's the lead of that.
Okay. Does this movie revolve around NASCAR or ice skating?
Yeah, it revolves around one of those.
Okay.
Did you literally use your last question to give you a 50-50 chance?
I did, because the other thing that I was considering, because I don't remember the movie well, was if you said no to that, I was just going to throw out semi-pro, because I don't really remember the movie.
Okay.
I'm feeling fairly confident that it's Will Ferrell, and especially now that it revolves around NASCAR or ice skating.
So hang on a second. So we have a couple things to unpack here, because obviously I wasn't going to give it to you earlier on. But when you eliminated Sandler and Sandberg and their troops, it has to be a Will Ferrell movie. A comedy movie in the 2000s not featuring that coterie of actors has to be.
Well, unless it was just unless when I asked the question, you happen to remember that the character was on SNL. Like, I don't know. Like, that's why I threw Chris Kattan in there, because there were a couple movies that he was in too.
Sure. No, my point was, you asked early on, was it an SNL character, like an SNL cast member was in the movie? I said yes. You said, is it Sandler or any of his troupe? No. Mm-hmm. Is it Sandberg or any of his troupe? No. To me, the only obvious follow-up to that is Will Ferrell. You chose not to until like several questions later when you asked Ferrell, Kattan, or Farley. But it took you a while to get back to that point. And then on top of that, there was a question you just asked a little while ago that it's like, you could have like narrowed this down where you had multiple chances to keep narrowing it. Like, you left. You didn't pursue it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're in.
Well, it's a sports thing. When you said sports, Kattan and Farley don't have any sports content.
Wait, sorry. Yeah, I guess I could have just asked if it was Will Ferrell at that point.
That was kind of what I was.
I just stopped. I just like went there that it was him, and then I was also trying to figure out, like, I feel like there's a chance that Chris Farley was in like a silly sports thing that I can't remember.
I suppose that's possible. So the other thing is like even to semi-pros points, as you've already named that, and it's obviously not that, because it's about either NASCAR or ice skating. Mm-hmm. Like, semi-pro is another one. I wasn't going to use that as an example before because it was still on the board. That's very clearly, I would say, a Will Ferrell lead. But like,
unfortunately, though, I don't remember that movie at all.
But like, Woody Harrelson is a co-lead.
Yeah, I guess my struggle is in both. Man, now, the more that I feel like on the surface, I picture Talladega Nights as having a co-lead, but the more that I think about the movie, Will Ferrell is the lead. Whereas Blades of Glory, it is him and the other guy from, what's that movie? Napoleon Dynamite? right?
Yes.
And like they are the two characters that are kind of head. So I'm gonna go with, is it Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby?
It is Talladega Nights. Blades of Glory is definitely a co-lead situation. Okay. It's a 2 leads situation. Yeah, so that was the thing.
It's so funny because like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, because they play off each other so well, I'm picturing the first thing that I picture from that movie are the scenes where they're together and they're working together or working against each other.
But honestly, as far as screen time goes, John C. Reilly's probably only about 35%.
Right, because he's like plays a big chunk at the end and a big chunk at the beginning, I feel like, but there is like that middle ground where
huge swaths of the movie is not on screen.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
But
I love that movie.
Yeah, so today was the 15th anniversary of that movie.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
So that it put it on my mind earlier in the day, and then when I had to think about, shit, I have to pick. I was like, that's as good a choice as any. It's like the only problem is like it's either gonna push him like to the limit, which it did. I was like, or he's gonna get in like 6 guesses, because to me, especially when you said, "Is this an SNL?" I was like, "Fuck, he's gonna get this in like the 9th one."
Yeah, I realized it was like it. I think that going forward, though, I'm going to try to rely on that one, because if you say if this character wasn't on SNL, that's like it really does. I feel like it splits a good chunk of actors right down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you said a comedy movie and then the person wasn't on SNL, that leaves you with a much smaller roster of people to deal with than it was, you know. Mm-hmm. But the way you specifically asked the question, which was clever, was like Adam Sandler and his troupe. And it's like, okay, so it can't be Adam Sandler or Kevin James or Chris Rock or David Spade or, well, Robert Schneider wasn't on SNL, but he's in the troupe, right?
I thought he was. I think he was on SNL.
Oh, I didn't think he was. Maybe he was. I don't remember, actually. I didn't think so. But either way, he's in that troupe, right? And
yeah,
there's like the Sandberg troupe as well. But Will Ferrell is weirdly kind of exists on his own in all of that, considering how super famous he was coming out of it.
Yeah, he was. I mean, yeah, for sure. Like he did a couple of well, mainly it's like the Night at the Roxbury skit, right? Like with him and Chris Kattan, where I constantly did picture the two of them together, but they only worked really together, I feel like, in that unit.
Well, you know SNL much better than me, which is why I was surprised when you didn't finish it off and nail down that it was Ferrell right then.
Yeah, which is funny because even though I didn't do it in my mind, I was kind of there.
Yeah.
But I did solidify it with the sports question because I figured that.
But by the time you I said that, I could see that you're getting hung up on the co-lead thing. I was like, oh, he's gonna do the thing where it's it's a Ferrell Riley thing. Step Brothers is a twin bill between the two of them, right? But this one is not. Ferrell is the lead, but then you can make the argument that Riley and what's his name? I'm totally drawing a blank on his name right now. Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
They're the co-leads outside of him, but it's his movie. He's the lead.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't even argue. Now that I'm thinking about the movie, I wouldn't argue that they're co-leads at all.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna
they're supporting cast for sure.
Sure, my point is they are all they get their own storylines. They are lead characters, but not the lead. So the way I know you and I approach this a little differently. I know our definitions we've coalesced on the same definition or whatever. But to me, I would say anything up to 3 leads is still not an ensemble. It's beyond 3 that I would what's it called? I would consider not an ensemble. Super bad, because it's the 2 of them, and then if you want to add on McLovin on top of that, you can say there's 3 kind of semi-co-leads. But I would say it's a twin bill. It's an identifiable 2 leads to that movie. It's not an ensemble, even including Emma Stone and Seth Rogen and Bill Hader.
Right.
They are not included as making this an ensemble.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That was a good one. I'm glad I got it in 20.
It was good. It's nice to see the opponent sweat, but still end up getting it right before the end.
Yeah, every time we play this, I want you to win. I want when I.
To me, I just don't want you to get it in 5 questions because I'm just fuck. I picked
exactly.
You know what I mean? I want to see you at least make it to 12.
Yeah, there's a great. Are you familiar with Awesome Town?
I'm not sure.
Awesome Town was the Andy Samberg crew before SNL. The stuff they did on YouTube, or not YouTube. I think it would have been E-Bombs World or something like that.
Yes.
They had a 20 questions skit that was so great, and it was Andy Samberg and the guy that he always works closely with, whose name I actually don't know, but he was in Hot Rod with him. He played his brother. But anyway, they're sitting across from each other and they're playing 20 questions.
Let's say I forget. Was it Yorma Tacone, and then there's Akiva something.
Yeah, and I unfortunately I don't know what his name is.
It's one of those two, though.
I think so.
The three guys who do Lonely Island.
Yes. Yeah. So they do they do 20 questions, and like it was like in rapid succession. It's like, is this a fruit, or is it a fruit or vegetable? No. Like, is it an animal? Yes. Is it a unicorn? Yes. I was like, okay. And then it's like the next guy goes, and he goes, okay. Is it a unicorn? Yes.
That reminds me of there was that sketch on Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job, where because that was like a big thing that came out like while I was in high school, and a couple of my friends were really into it. That was more like they had kind of started smoking weed, and like I didn't, but like we would still hang out and like drink or whatever and watch it. Or sometimes, honestly, we'd watch it sober, but it's not really a sober show. And there was one of them, like the sketches they did on that show, where I forgot what like the setup was. Not that you can ever really make sense of any of the setups of this stupid fucking show, but it was like a game show, and it was like name 3 things that aren't Jackie Chan, and and the guy's like and, they have like a countdown clock or something like that. He's like like baseball, T-bone steak, Jackie Chan, shit.
That's great.
So we like kept that going for like a long time. Like you quick name 3 things that aren't Jackie Chan, and you name like 2 random things, and then you say Jackie Chan.
Oh man. I went through a Jackie Chan phase where I was like, all I was doing was watching Jackie Chan movies, and I loved them so much.
I have not seen the pre-Rush Hour Jackie Chan stuff. I know he was in a lot of like Chinese movies.
Oh man.
Honestly, the only one I can even name off of all that I'm 99% sure it's from Hot Fuzz, right? Time Cop, because he's like reading the back. Wasn't that one of them?
I think it's Time Cop was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think you're thinking of Police Cop.
Was that what it was? I thought it was. Am I confusing Jackie Chan with Jean-Claude Van Damme? I remember it was one of the martial art ones. I thought it was Jackie Chan on the cover, but I remember him picking through the bin while they're at like the supermarket, and Simon Pegg starts chasing the guy in the tracksuit, and he's reading them. And he goes, "Meet the cop that just won't stop." And I thought it was. Maybe it was. I might be confusing those 2 movies together.
Police Story is the Jackie Chan movie that I was thinking of.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay.
But Time Cop is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, I thought I don't know why I thought it was Time Cop, but I thought I'm like 99% sure it was a Jackie Chan movie. But
there was a Jackie Chan movie where he has amnesia, and I think it was called Who Am I? Yeah, there it is. Who Am I? I remember loving that movie. But there was a whole bunch of like Drunken Master, Who Am I, Police Story. There was like a whole bunch of those movies at that time frame that like me and my buddy Patrick were just like super into, and we would just watch them over and over again. But oh goodness, I haven't watched those movies in ages.
I haven't seen any of those old Jackie Chan movies.
I think that would be a really fun thing to do together one day, like where we watch one of them and then do the show right after.
Oh, sorry, it was Police Story.
Oh, Police Story was the one they're talking about?
I believe so, yeah. I don't know why I thought it was Time Cop, but I remember him saying, reading the back of like the thing, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It says, "Meet the cop that just won't stop," or something like that. He's like the whole thing, and what's his name runs past him chasing the guy, and then he tries to chase, like help him with the chase, and that's like leads to the whole thing where jump over the fences, and then Nick Frost runs through the fence.
Yes, that's so good. There's in one of those movies, I can't remember which one it is, but it does, at some point or another, Jackie Chan finds himself inside of a Zorb running down a hill, which is just really great.
I'm trying to think of like the non-Rush Hour, what's it called? Shanghai Nights / Noon movies. Of like,
oh my God, Shanghai Noon. I love that movie too.
Yeah. The only one I can think of that I've seen of the Jackie Chan movies was probably, I'm going to guess, considering it was like later on, it was like the most forgettable of all those. But I saw it multiple times, was The Medallion.
Yeah.
My brother saw it. He loved it. So we watched it a bunch of times. It's got such a random assortment of actors. It's
we also watched that one Jackie Chan movie that we did for the show that I can't remember the name of, that I wasn't.
I don't like include it in like that group of.
You mean like
ridiculous,
like
over
90s,
the top.
80s?
And actually, I think this was in early 2000s. Yeah. The Foreigner from a couple of years ago, like that was like a much more grounded, more realistic movie. Obviously,
sure.
I'm talking about like the ridiculous Jackie Chan movies. Although this was literally like a supernatural one. It was like him, Claire Forlani, and the guy from Something About Mary, the one who pretends to be the guy with cerebral palsy or whatever. The guy who pretends to be the architect who's like,
or
who takes down Matt Dillon or whatever, and it turns out he's a pizza guy who was just obsessed with her.
That's right.
He's like the three of them are like the leads of that movie. Sorry, that's a lie. I saw one other of those like shitty old early 2000s Jackie Chan movies, and it was The Tuxedo.
The Tuxedo. I've never seen that.
That movie I don't remember very well. It was very bad. Jackie Chan, Jennifer Love Hewitt. There definitely have to have been other people in that movie, but I can't recall any of them off the top of my head. And I think he's the butler for some James Bond-esque character, or maybe a Tony Stark-esque character is the better way to say it. Because the guy, I think, dies, but he had like a super power, not a superpower, it was like a super technologically advanced tuxedo, and Jackie Chan puts on the tuxedo and makes him.
Okay.
It was a bad movie.
I still feel like I would watch it though.
I mean, it might be worth a watch just for like if you want nostalgia of that time, because it's very of that time.
Right.
And some of the like the B-level like action movies that came out in like the early 2000s, but it is very bad.
I decided to get on Jackie Chan's page on IMDb and start scrolling through the movies to see if there's anything that jogged my memory. In 2004, there was a new police story.
Wow.
Which that's the title of it. I'd never heard of it. I'm very curious. I do see The Tuxedo on here in 2002. Accidental Spy. I feel like that sounds very similar to what you just explained. Wow. So
I'm sorry. I'm looking at this cast list from The Tuxedo because I remember some very specific like snippets of this movie, but I don't really remember the movie. What a random fucking cast. Jackie Chan, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Jason Isaacs, Debbie Mazur, Richie Coster, Peter Stormare, Romani Malco.
Oh, you said you were thinking Police Story. Are you sure you weren't thinking of Super Cop?
Maybe it was Super Cop.
Super Cop is definitely another one I've seen. Okay, so I got to the years where I was like, oh my god, not only have I seen that movie, I've seen pretty much all of these at one point, like when I was like really into this, but it was like, Who Am I? Mr. Nice Guy, First Strike, Rumble in the Bronx, Legend of Drunken Master, Super Cop 2, Super Cop. I don't remember that one. Police. There was a second Police Story. Man, this is great. This is a blast from the past. The Legend of Drunken Master, I remember really enjoying.
That one I've heard of. Like that's
he does like the drunken style fighting.
Yes,
like it's really cool. I just loved watching him
doing foo or whatever, right?
Like, yeah, like him doing like all of his stunts and stuff was always so amazing. I always loved in Rush Hour watching those like the reel at the end of like the things that like went wrong or like the retries of certain stunts. Oh man, those movies cracked me up back in the day. What do you say, Al? Is it time for our flick of the week?
Probably.
Black Widow, released in 2021, rated PG-13 with a 2-hour and 14-minute runtime. Your IMDb synopsis. Natasha Romanoff confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Sure. Where are you vis-a-vis the tweet-length review?
It was fine. Some fun... Some fun action, solid banter, but this converted origin story by way of flashback is so out of place in the current Marvel schedule, and a further slap in the face to the Black Widow character itself. 6 out of 10.
Okay. Well, we're pretty much together on this one as far as rating goes. Black Widow is far too little, far too late. Fortunately, the performances are strong. Unfortunately, the writing is not. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're touching on a lot of the same stuff there. It's so weird for this movie to be coming out at this time.
It's so weird for this movie to exist.
Well, like when you've seen the specific movie they've chosen to make here, for it to be releasing now makes no sense at all. With the exception of it's very obviously tipping off that Florence Pugh is going to be a major force in the next phase of Marvel, which is fine.
Which I'm all for because she was great in the movie.
She was probably the consistently best part of the movie. There's no question about that. Some of their banter between the two of them really did crack me up a bit.
Especially like when you had said earlier in your opening line, that was the best. Like that had me I laughed out loud for a while.
Yeah, when she was talking about the superhero landing thing.
Why do you do that thing? And like the way that it came out, it was almost as like they forgot to cut. Right? It almost seemed like the actress was asking the other actress a question, not the characters. And then when she
was method acting in her terrible Russian accent. But like you could have seen that between the shots. Why do you always do that thing? And then she starts like awkwardly doing the pose.
The pose. Oh man, so silly. When she ends up doing it later on in the movie, and then kind of has to shake it off.
She literally says that was disgusting.
Yeah.
that whole like good. Thing, like sending that up, was pretty funny to me. And I know like there's probably some people who groan at that, but to me that's legitimately funny. Like that's the type of stuff you should be poking fun at.
Absolutely. Yeah, because like that. I mean, that pose came in the first time we saw the character when they were overly sexualizing her.
It was the first time you saw her. Well, it was in the trailer. It was in the trailer for Iron Man 2.
That's right. Oh my god, that was too much. That really did crack me up. I did like our core cast, the Romanovs. Like I liked them a lot.
Yeah, and like their dynamic, their banter, most of it was pretty great. There was some stuff at that first initial dinner table. Like some of it was funny, some of it was corny.
Putting on that suit was really funny to me.
Yes, but my favorite part of all that was actually when they crashed the plane or helicopter rather, and the three of them start walking together. Some of that banter was pretty great. The thing about the ledgers, your ledgers are red, gushing red blood. You killed so many people. I'm so proud of you. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome. I did like when they are at that family dinner, and then the mom in quotes brings the pig in. And David Harbour's like, "You named him after me." It's like because he really is like it's so funny like because the way like we can't. Families like when they're sitting around a dinner table, like they do joke on dad all the time, and like that was they captured that really well in that dynamic, and I was like, this is really funny. Like that bit of it was really hysterical to me. Some of it went on for too long, and like you said, some of it was awkward, but there were some good chuckles in there for sure. And I don't know. I also like Rachel Weisz. That's how you say her name.
Yes.
She doesn't age, right? Is that just a known thing at this point? I feel like
she hasn't for forever, at least 15 years.
Yeah,
like I would say, like the first Mummy, she looks slightly younger than she looks now, but like everything since say Mummy Returns.
Yeah, unreal. She's a very good actress. I think there's a certain.
I mean, she's won
to her line deliveries.
Multiple, not like Emmy or not Emmy, Oscars rather. So.
Yeah, she's really good. I don't know, just like. There's something about like that character had to be tough to play because specifically because I felt like overall the writing was weak. So like having to bring the character to life that was on paper, I feel like a little one dimensional of like no, this is like it's just this character is just part of this fake family that is a scientist and like obsessed with it. But like to add in some of like for the actor to add in some of the nuance of like there's definitely moments of care about the family, even if they're not a real family, and like to actually see that come out, like that was all on the actor, I feel like.
Well, the problem with all of that is like I did think all four of them did a pretty good job of trying to convey who the characters were and what the dynamic between the four of them was. This felt a little bit like one of the weird editing job type movies or like one that was rewritten kind of on the fly, because that first scene, maybe it's not rewritten on the fly, maybe it's reshoots situation. That first opening sequence, you never watched The Americans. I did. They established a very similar dynamic. Obviously, it's the same premise where it's a Russian spy family is like a sleeper cell The difference being in the Americans, the kids don't know about it at the beginning. In this one, the older kid knows, the younger one doesn't get the deal, but she doesn't really know the full extent of it. And like the one parent is super pro Russia, the other one is there for the cause, but ultimately their time in America has left them like, maybe it's not that bad here, honestly. You know what I mean? Like sure, like I agree with the principles and we're all for it, but like we've raised these kids here and it's like they're used to this, and honestly, we've been faking it, but we have a pretty good life. And like there's some things over there that like I'm not a big fan of in America, but like, is it really that bad? Mm-hmm. And like they established that very similar dynamic in that opening sequence. And while you have that very little bit of push-pull between the two parents on that, like where it's like, we're going, no, we should probably just stay. Mm-hmm. They both seem to really care about their daughters.
Yeah, especially like the way that the mom goes, like she actually says the line at some point, like I don't want to.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. But like they both, but like even though one of them doesn't want to go and one of them does want to go, they both very much seem to care about their daughters and like be legitimate parents to them, to the point where like I just assumed they were. Which like in the Americans, it's a fake couple that was inserted in the U.S., but they legitimately really have the children together, right? Mm-hmm. To maintain the illusion. In this case, they were just assigned those kids. The one kid knows that. The other one doesn't know that because she was too young. And then after that opening prologue is done, they totally blow up that dynamic. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, we were just doing a job. Like, whatever. Like, we didn't really care. Like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm glad that you guys are okay. But, like, whatever. Like, you weren't actually our daughters. But, like, in that opening scene, they exhibit true like parental care for them.
Right. And it almost seems like and you said maybe reshoots. I'm thinking maybe editing, because it almost seems like maybe they lingered a little bit too long on some of the action sequences and probably cut out some of the more like singular emotional scenes of like looking at a character dealing with something and like, I don't know, like giving a flashback to, or like a flash forward in these, like if you're in the current time, like to like the mother or father and like how they're acting in a situation. Because when you do see them, it's like they're, like you were saying, like they're solely like, nope, it was just a mission, like type of thing. But then the characters go back and forth on claiming that they felt otherwise, but they didn't show you that.
And that's what I'm getting. Like, I don't know which part of it was reshot, but to me, it feels like they went with one idea. Well, because like the majority of the movie is kind of all over the map, right? Where it's like, no, it was only a mission. Well, no, we did kind of care about you, whatever. Whereas it's so singular in the prologue that, like, I feel like that was reshot afterwards to try and like synthesize that connection between the characters that we're supposed to care about for what we're going to see later. Mm-hmm. Because I think they realized it was kind of ham-handed later on what they did.
Yeah. You know, there's something else going on here too, and that is that it was like, I feel like they made the Black Widow movie to finally make a movie specifically surrounding that character, right? Like, because they hadn't done it, and they probably should have done it a while ago. But instead, what the movie actually is, and what I think could have been a really good movie, is if it were a movie called like The Widows or something like that, that like it did a little bit more of a deep dive into the Red Room.
Romanovs.
And here's where I'm going with it. It's like The Widows, where like it's an explanation of the Black Widow like project, like of these girls that were taken.
Yeah, the whole Red Room.
And you follow Florence Pugh's character, and then you get revealed later on that she was like the sister of Romanov, and that's how you introduce the character. I think that would have been really cool. But instead, they were like giving Romanov's character that movie that they should have given her a long time ago. Whereas like, and
they're trying to do both things at the same time.
Yeah, and that really fell flat. Especially like it felt very shoehorned in, right? Bringing in like, we're introducing a new character right here in the middle, and like one of the things that like I normally don't question these things, and I'm usually fine with it, but it's like, why haven't we seen any of these other widows in the past 10 years of Marvel movies if there's this whole group of them?
Well, because they were hiding, because it was super secretive, no one knew.
But they were doing missions.
Yeah, but no one knew.
I just like how matter of fact you did that. That really tickled me. Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's what the movie said.
I needed that. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's like almost exactly verbatim what they said.
But no,
like, haha, I've been secretly doing this whole time, and no one knew because we were so secretive.
And I gotta say,
fair enough.
This was one of those movies. Like, we have a bad guy whose name I don't remember, who is largely forgettable and sucks. But I'm like, what? Like, what? what do you want? I don't know.
Oh, like power and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, so, like, I mean, he's Dr. Evil, right? Like,
he's power and control and stuff.
Yeah, he's a Bond villain.
Yeah, no, the thing is, it could have been an interesting character. Certainly the fact that he created this like cabal of assassins that no one knew existed, like that's cool.
And also, like, show me things that you've done with them, like why this is so dangerous, like why it's a bad thing. Like, we know it's a bad thing from the mind control perspective. I get that.
Yes.
We know it's a bad thing from the pheromone perspective, which was very disgusting to me, and then made me very uncomfortable, those scenes. But what are you doing? Like, I still don't know what they did.
Well, so that was like the whole point of like Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Civil War. Is like they showed you why the Winter Soldier mattered in history.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like he did all these famous assassinations.
He was here and here and here and here. It's like, oh, that's really cool.
Like by the end of Civil War, you see how it all connected because it's like, oh wow, he like killed Howard Stark and his wife, and like that tipped off literally everything that happened with the Avengers. Fair enough. This not so much. No. Like, yeah, sure, like a cabal of assassins who are mind controlled seems dangerous. But like, how specifically were they dangerous? Like, yeah, no, like hypothetically, like on paper, you're right, super dangerous. Like, but what specifically did they do? What would you say you do here?
Right, exactly. Very that was really frustrating. So like on top of that, right? So I had no reason to, like, the villain was largely disposable to me. It's like, okay, they've introduced somebody that they're going to kill off by the end of the movie because I had
well, they disposed of him, so
right. So that was it. But
the thing is, like, just seeing all that, like, yes, you're right. They didn't do enough to flesh it out and all that, but like they could have, and like that absolutely is a villain you could have kept in your back pocket to be interesting.
Absolutely
down the line, they just didn't.
No, they didn't. And then, even worse, in my opinion, is what they did with Taskmaster, because Taskmaster is actually a pretty cool character from the experiences that I've had with that character in the past. So like,
see, I've had no experiences.
For me, it's mostly is like there's two things that come to mind in particular. One, I did play a little bit of the Avengers game, and that character is in there, and it's pretty cool. I did play a lot of the Spider-Man, and Taskmaster is in that, and he is an awesome character in that. The idea of what that character does of like monitoring and learning the movements and patterns of another person and then being able to mirror them to really just take them down in a fight is so cool. It's like, it's basically like Neo plugged into the chair in the Matrix constantly, which is like like able to analyze super quickly and then like repeat and like know what's coming next. So like taking down that person, it seems damn near impossible because the character is able to immediately know, like, knows what you'll do next.
Which they did show us some of that.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool, actually.
They showed us some of that.
The fight on the bridge, I thought, was pretty good for showing all that. Even though, like, you didn't even realize that's what was going on at that stage in the movie. Assuming you didn't know the character, like I didn't. Like,
Sure, but the other thing about that character from the experiences that I have had is that the character is, it's got a huge ego and is very talkative. So, like, turning that character into like a silent villain doesn't work because I feel like it cuts away half of what that character is. That's one.
Well, I kept spending like the whole movie wondering who the fuck the character was, and I probably should have realized the Chekhov's dead daughter. But
to me, I thought that thing like that hurt. That was so painfully obvious to me when they were like they killed her. I was like, oh, okay, so that's Taskmaster.
It was, but there was something in the trailer originally that kind of made me wonder, and I knew at some point in this movie I was like, okay, this doesn't add up. But even still, knowing that it seems like the Rachel Weisz character was going to betray them, and she kind of did, and then like obviously goes back on betraying them and helps them out. But like, I had a sneaking suspicion from when the trailer came out that maybe she was the Taskmaster.
Oh, okay.
So I kept waiting to see how that, and then like I knew it wasn't, and then so like at that point I was just like, all right, whatever, we'll figure it out eventually. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a big reveal. I don't care who it is, you know what I mean? And it turned out to be the daughter. I was like, oh, yep, I missed the Chekhov's daughter thing because I was caught up in the mother thing. But
that's fair. For me it was just like this character is masked and hasn't spoken yet, so they're hiding it. And then I was like, okay. The other thing that made it a little bit more obvious to me was like I was assuming that the reason it dawned on me in that moment when they were like, oh, the daughter died. I was like, no, she didn't. That's one. Two, even if it's not Taskmaster, no, she didn't. And then the other thing was like, oh, Taskmaster hasn't said a word this entire movie. It would be interesting if they're reserving that it's the daughter and they didn't want to use a female voice to throw you into knowing who it was.
See, I was already caught up in that because they kept very specifically calling him he, and I'm like, it's probably going to be a she.
Yeah.
Back to the fact that it could be Rachel Weisz, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Sure. Also, like, what a waste of a casting of Olga Kurylenko, other than just to, I guess, set up that she'll be in the future, because she has one line, and you see her face for like 4 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, that
it could have literally been anyone. They could have guessed me.
It's so weird. It's like there was no reason. The character didn't even need to be there. You can largely cut out every scene with that character, and like it doesn't really do much for the development of Romanoff's character. Like they barely touch on the fact that she killed the daughter, and she's maybe a little bit sad about it, but not really.
She's kind of sad.
She's kind of sad about it. That's it. And then
but like it hasn't really been sticking with her until someone reminded.
But right, it's like, oh right, I killed a kid.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah. Also, you did.
But like, her plan, she was totally fine with it. In fact, basically actively planned to kill her.
Yeah.
So that's really what it was. She was, whether or not she killed her, she was really just guilty about actively planning. Like, the only way I'm going to be sure I can kill him is if she's in the building. She's in the building, so let's do it.
So one of the things that I was hoping for, like going through, was like, okay, so like, so far, like going through the movie, so far, nothing super exciting to me, nothing super new. It just feels like very B material that is being written. Surely, I feel like the reveal of like the Red Room and like where it is and what it actually means, maybe that'll be cool. And then it was like, oh, little city in the sky thing. I was like, oh, this is sweet. That hasn't really been done. And then I was like, no, it's kind of like just the shield ships just hovering in the clouds. And it's like,
it was almost exactly like that, actually.
And then I was just like, okay, so nothing really new here. I was like, what is new about this? And then it was like pheromones. That's creepy. I don't want that. You throw those. The way that those red vials break and disperse into the air was some of the worst CG I've seen in a long time.
Well, the problem is not so much that it's the worst CG; it's that it so specifically evoked Scarlet Witch. And so when the first one broke early on with Yelena, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Mind control, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Go together like lamb and tuna fish. And,
perhaps you like spaghetti and meatball.
And like that didn't play into it at all. In fact, it was just chemicals. I was like, oh, well, that's disappointing.
I want to believe that there is something there, but they didn't. They
chose that very specific color and
the crystals inside of it. Yeah. I'm with you.
And like mind control, like we know that she does mind control. So it's like, oh, this is going to be our tie-in to Scarlet Witch because we know that she's coming up big in the new phase and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Like it doesn't matter, but then like, why not make it, I don't know, any other color that exists?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of colors.
Literally any other color.
So there's a lot of them. You got your greens.
Just, you know what?
Blues.
Purples even. You want to save
yellows?
You want to save some money and use that?
No. Purple's used in Black Panther.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean specifically when you talk mind control and that very specific shade of red. Like you could have just used a different shade of red.
And we know from years that red means mind control in the MCU, except when blue meant mind control in the first Avengers. And then blue turned out to actually be yellow inside the blue. That
was the one that really fucked with my head. Was when they broke open the scepter and there was another different colored gem inside of it because, the Tesseract was also blue, just like the scepter. And I was like, why? Why?
Oh, man. That's so funny. Yeah, it is funny to see like some of the things that like became more important as time went on or like where they realized what they wanted to do with it and then had to like make some changes like that, like that, right? Like different color gem inside of it, or like the Tesseract being a different shape and then
but also like purple down. Was the Power Stone.
Yeah. So
also Black Panther.
Also Black Panther, yeah. But power, it was a very powerful thing.
But totally two totally separate different things that were in no way shape.
Yeah, it's just this is like a Vince Gilligan thing. Like certain colors mean certain things, right?
Yeah, except those things tend to be related.
Red is mind control. Purple is power. Purple power. Right.
But also sometimes red is evil.
Blue is. What is blue?
Well, it's mind control until it's orange.
No, red's mind control. Orange souls are orange, right?
Is the soul stone? Yeah, orange. Yes.
Yellow is the power of the brain,
which is mind control.
Wait, yellow is mind control too. Oh God, yeah, this is bad. This is bad. Let's get off this train. I don't want to be here.
Green is surely safe, and definitely isn't the time stone.
Green is. Yeah, how about just a nice brown, like a nasty, like poop colored smoke.
Yeah, shitty lake brown.
Lake brown. That's definitely a Crayola crayon, right?
Well, they got Robin's Egg blue, so why not?
God, I hope so. Yeah, that little city in the sky was. I thought it was going to be something more exciting.
Yeah, as soon as they showed it, I was like, "Oh wow, just like those helicarrier things."
I gotta be honest with, and I guess it's official that we're probably never going there. But I actually didn't read up on anything about what this movie was going to be. So my assumption going in was that it was going to be an origin story until a couple minutes in when I found out that like or whatever it was, 10 minutes in, where you find out where it's actually taking place in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I mean, it still kind of was a soft origin for Black Widow, but mostly it was a Trojan horse origin for you.
Right, and it was definitely more of that, because like at the end of the day, I know nothing more about Romanoff than I had already had certain things.
Well, she felt bad that one time.
There was that time she felt bad, and there was that fake family, and we're still going to dangle Budapest in front of you, but we're never going to tell you what happened.
Well, didn't they? Wasn't that blowing up the daughter and the guy? Draco?
Was it?
Wasn't that what Budapest was?
I don't know. I know that they showed the room where they were trapped in, where there was a lot of bullet holes in the wall.
Yeah.
Was it that mission?
I thought, unless I'm misremembering, because that was the whole thing, right? That she had to do her one last job to get out. Like, wasn't that?
I don't know. Maybe. I still don't understand how Hawkeye comes into play.
Because he told her to kill that girl. I mean, that guy and his daughter.
He helped? Yeah.
Like, he gave her the bomb.
He did?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Oh, you're doing a bit. I got it.
Yeah. kind of this whole time.
All right, cool.
No, I mean, I was sincere in thinking like that.
I really thought I missed something for a minute there, which would have been fine. But
I'm misremembering because now I've seen the movie like a couple weeks ago and whatever. But like, yeah, like because she doesn't explain it right then and there when she mentions it. But like, wasn't that the whole idea of Budapest? Was like that was her last thing to do to prove to them that she was defecting? Like,
maybe
wasn't that act to kill Dreykov?
Maybe. I really don't remember. It obviously did not resonate or stick with me.
I'm pretty sure that was the deal.
Cool.
It was mostly about Yelena and I guess the widows, because it seems like they'll probably show up in whatever they do next.
Well, it seems that way because they've all been freed.
I like they made a big deal about like joining them back up to fight and like, hey, we'll go do this together, and like she goes off and disappears and then cleans up a grave or whatever, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus and
sure.
That talk about false pretenses.
We're watching, credits are rolling, waiting for the inevitable post-credit scene. Like, okay, I'm going to assume that in a post-credit scene, we're going to get some Yelena and, just a hint of what's next. And then that scene, I was like, this was pretty much as lackluster as the rest of this entire thing.
Well, it wasn't even so much lackluster, because I did appreciate
lackluster.
It did lack a luster. There was no luster in that scene.
Most things are lacking luster.
Yeah, you could argue almost all of them. In fact, I appreciated Julia Louis-Dreyfus committing to the bit of being allergic to the Midwest. And
that's good.
Talk about like Obi-Wan Kenobi from a certain point of view. Oh, this is the guy who's responsible for the death of your sister. And it's like. But like the strictest definition, but wow.
Yeah.
Bold
move.
And also...
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I am a little curious to find out who's hired her to kill him. Like, that is definitely interesting.
Sure, that is intriguing. I'm gonna just assume it's somebody in the U.S. government, right?
Well, what's his name is now U.S. agent, right? So, like, that seems...
Yeah.
That would seem to be so. But I'm I'm sure it's probably someone else.
Yeah. So is she gonna show up then in the Hawkeye show? Maybe.
Probably.
That would make the most sense considering
that comes out soonish and like. Honest to God, I have no idea what that show's going to
be. Same.
I just have to assume it's going to be as bad as Falcon.
Oh.
Well, because they've had 2 super weird shows and 2, well, it will be 2 like fairly conventional shows. And the super weird shows have been really good. And the one conventional show was bad. And this is the show of all of them that I'm the least interested in.
Yeah.
And would seem to be the most conventional of them. So I'm just going to assume it's good.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I don't know. I'm falling short on remembering the line, but there is it's an Endgame. It's Endgame when Clint comes back and they're like standing at the lake and he yells something, but he yells it in like this very strange accent. Do you know what scene I'm talking about? Like, she's gone. Like the way that I can't remember what it is that he's saying, but like I just remember being like, "Why is your voice different in this scene?"
So it was when Thor asks her, right? Like, why? Like, we can't just go back and like we'll just go and do it again, whatever.
Yeah,
she's like, yeah. It's weird. It's not as weird as the inconsistent accent on Florence Pugh in this movie because it's all over the map, scene to scene, and sometimes even within scenes. And I'm not going to criticize her because I thought generally she did a pretty good job. And it's tough to try and do a convincing Russian accent, especially for how long she's being asked to do it.
Yeah,
but it is pretty bad, honestly.
Yeah. Well, if they do anything like they did with Scarlet Witch, she just doesn't have to have it in the next thing.
Well, I sure hope so. And honestly, she's been around long enough. Like they could have just not done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, David Harbour's Russian accent kind of cracked me up. He was great in this. I still think back to the first thing I ever saw him in was in The Newsroom as Elliot. And it's so weird to see where his career's gone since then.
Him playing like sloppy Russian Captain America is just chef's kiss.
Yes.
And like that whole arm wrestling shtick in the jail was really funny to me, especially when he just completely wrecks that giant guy's arm.
That was fucked up.
For calling him a liar.
But also, I liked him playing with his own little action figure. It was kind of adorable. Like, I felt bad for him in that.
I did too.
And the prison break sequence was fun.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the helicopter was like leaving, and he's like, "Ah!" Oh man, that's too much. But yeah, he was fun. Plucky comic relief.
Yes, which I never took him for that specific version of it.
When he thinks he has an earpiece in, that was a great scene. That like there was an unnecessary laugh that some very strong writer put in.
It's either that or like they went to shoot the scene and he realized he didn't have an earpiece in. They're like, you just keep it in. This is better than what we had.
I need to tell you something.
Well, because they did that a couple of times. So maybe it was written in because they did that a couple of times, right? Where he goes, "Oh, if this is the last time," and he turns around and he goes to touch her and she's just gone.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh."
Oh man, he really was. He was funny. I love how like when they're taking down the building, in the sky, like that jumping. It's so funny when stakes don't matter at all, and I can't be emotionally attached to what's happening in the scene. Like I know when this character dies, so it's not now. And then like jumping off, like I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're jumping off this. You're bouncing around from brick to brick like Super Mario. Like as you're floating through the sky to jump on somebody else's back. Like it was so absurd. And I was like, at this point, I was like, they're just like. I feel like the writer was like, and then explosions and flying through the air and guns. Like, that's all it said on the paper.
Wait, how did Michael Bay get in here?
Yeah.
Also, every time you say some version of something in the sky, I keep wanting to sing along with it. And so I'm taking down the building in the sky.
Yeah.
Building in the sky.
Oh, man. What else happened in this movie? What else was good? Something notable? Anything notable?
Nope. Someone almost made a pig choke to death on its own.
That was uncomfortable. I didn't like that scene.
Trachea or whatever. I don't know how
actually
one just ceases breathing. Like
there was a moment in there I was like, actually, like conceptually, what's going on here was really fucked. Like it's really creepy.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like that. Like,
and they played it for comic.
Lean into the weird.
That was. But like there was something super interesting there. And that was like where it's like I kind of want to like this movie, but it's not it's not working for me because like that whole thing with the mind control and like why you could have kept Dreykov around is like this is such a potent, dangerous weapon, and you're just a plot device that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Those that Mission Impossible mask. We're gonna do that a couple more times. You guys remember those? We're gonna do that a couple more times.
Did they do that in the Marvel movies? I have no memory.
They did it in
that's
Winter
right.
Soldier.
She did it. Yeah, she did one.
I always loved the concept of that, right? Like the very cool idea, like the mask that covers your face and makes you look identical to somebody else, but we just don't address the body type at all.
I mean, I guess you could buy in someone on something like that. To me, it was always the toughest sell on Face Off because like they made some sort of token reference to it, but like, could you find two less similar body types than mid-90s Nicolas Cage?
But they did it. Remember, the computer was adding like fat to his pecs. Like it was
only his pecs, I guess.
Yeah, it's science, Al. Yeah, you wouldn't understand.
I'm always the one who's like, the science of this doesn't make sense to me. Guess I wouldn't understand.
I have a couple notes here on the villain. It's just a series of bullet points, and in rereading them just now, I found them a little funny. So I'm just going to read these bullet points to you. Okay. Insecure man-child. Gross, and I don't want him on the screen. Uncomfortable to watch. Just a bad Bond villain.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Winstone is capable of making you very uncomfortable with his villainy.
It's my favorite one.
He's a good villain.
My favorite one. It's the last one. But ... What do you want? What do you want, Lindsay? What do you want?
It's more power and stuff.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Just overall, it's just. I want to address one thing though that I found. So like a few days ago or like a week ago, I don't remember when the story came out, but like that Scarlett Johansson was going to sue Disney over the pay and whatnot for the movie. I feel like when that story broke, it was very much like leaning into like being like shame on you for doing this. And I read it and I was like, no, hang on. Like no, like if you like look into like the why, it's like no, like she 100% should be paid properly for this movie. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if I could ask her to go do all that stuff and like it's contractual stuff, like there's been some legitimate fighting to it. Like you can argue in the end after all, it's like, oh, does it really matter? Like, yeah, sure, fine. Does it matter if the movie is in a theater or you're watching it at home or you rented it / bought it / get to watch it with your streaming service? But like, if you have the contractual clause that you're getting a certain amount of box office, it's going to be pretty shitty if the person like distributing the movie is actively sabotaging the box office.
Right. And then like also like if you're going to like, I feel like there's like an understood bit there like that the movie is being released. So like if you're going to do that, then I feel like there's no-brainer that she should be getting that same percentage of the other sales.
Yeah.
That's so I was like, well, I want you all like I saw like one headline after the next about this, and the way that it was phrased, it was like I feel like it was like really just like calling her out as being bad, and I'm just like, now hang on, I'm not, and I've said this before on the show, like I'm not the biggest Scarlett Johansson fan. I do think that that's mostly the writing around her characters because I have seen her in some tremendous stuff. So like in those things, I do like her, but I've seen her in a lot more things where I'm just like, whatever. But like. Even though I didn't love this movie, I'm like, it's just like, it's the principle of the thing. Like, this was her movie. Like, it's the Black Widow movie. The character that she has built. Like she did the performance for many, many years, and they finally decided to do the movie. And like, for this to happen, it just seems like I can't imagine them doing it to another character in the Marvel universe. And that's
I guess
bothersome.
So. Yeah, it's just, it's weird. I actually didn't see a ton of people like crushing her. I mean, like there definitely was some, but I saw plenty of like support for her and all that. Like weirdly, of all things, like Kevin Feige seems to be backing her, at least in public. We'll see if that's real, I guess, because I can't imagine him going absolutely toe to toe with Disney over an actress who's actively leaving, or maybe he's afraid it will jeopardize his ability to get other big actors to join new roles.
Sure.
And that's why Maybe I because
whether or not it's altruistic, he is it seems like he's defending her.
Well, my guess would be he's probably just playing good cop in this situation, to Disney's bad cop. But
sure, it just seems really dirty. I don't like it.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is dirtier than I realize, which kind of sucks, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I at first I kind of thought like someone like Denis Villeneuve was like being a bit whiny when he's fighting tooth and nail about how they were doing this HBO Max release of like Dune. And the more and more I think about it, and the more these situations come up, it's like, well, it's kind of an impossible situation because they would have liked to release the movie last year and gotten the normal box they were going to get, but there was a pandemic, so they couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some sort of alternative. But on the other hand, don't take a movie that was going to be a big box office draw and turn it into something that's 100% subscription, a la HBO Max, that totally fucks with the contract, totally fucks with the way they measure these things. The way, you could say maybe that studio is going to like make good with that director. It's like, oh, it's not your fault it didn't have a box office; it's a pandemic's fault, and that's great. But like, there's a lot of people who don't have that.
Yeah,
Disney had its cake and ate it too.
Sour taste in my mouth for sure.
$30 rental fee on top of the Disney Plus subscription. It's like that's something, but it sounds like they're not giving her the commensurate proportion of those rentals. Mm-hmm. So that seems like an obvious and easy fix.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But anyway, I guess we'll see. I'm kind of curious how that'll net out. I just hope she gets paid. It's really kind of bullshit. Paid appropriately. I know she didn't it's not like she didn't make anything, but yeah. I don't. So are we done with this character then? Like officially now? Is she she's no longer has anything slated, right? No, I know. Well, so. Sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the purpose considering it. Well, like again, you bookend this movie with her dying again, right? So, like, I don't see the purpose unless we have like a further back. But we've got a lot of that flashbacks over the course of the past. So, yeah, like I have to imagine, unless she does something for What If, and I don't know if she is or isn't. Like,
I was
a whole multiverse situation.
Before Julia Louis-Dreyfus walked on screen, I was certain that when Florence Pugh's character whistled, that we were going to hear another whistle and it was going to cut to black.
That would have been annoying.
Yeah, and as it was happening, I was like, "Don't do this."
Well, it's like the one thing they've been really like specifically obvious and final about is like when you sacrifice yourself for the Soul Stone or you die. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah, for sure. Them's the rules. It says it on the back. It says it on the back of the Soul Stone. Al, you got anything else on this movie?
I don't think so.
I don't think I do either. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
That's all for this week's episode of Flix in a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixinasix@thespintune.com or tweet us at thespintune. Tune in next week. Nope. Tune in next time for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for